A young lady approaches Kairos and offers him a divorce. The young lady's name is Levertitia, and now she makes one of the most important decisions in her life to get everything back to normal. 10 years ago, the girl married Kairos, a very young duke by order of the emperor, but she ended up trapped in another dimension due to an incident. During this time, her husband grew beyond recognition, and he was no longer a naive child. The guy used to need her protection, but now he is old enough to protect himself, so she is going to end the marriage. However, now the young lady is wondering why he is silent, after which she says that the young man is already able to take care of himself, and she believes that this is a suitable option for both of them. After all, they didn't want this marriage from the very beginning, so it will be better for him this way. The young man will only get angry after this, after which he says that the girl drove him crazy with her disappearance for 10 years and asks for a divorce immediately after returning. So he wonders if this is a joke. The young man also asks if she knows how long he has been looking for her. The young lady understands that her husband has reacted strangely to this. The lady understands that something is wrong because the boy whom she always wanted to cuddle, who looked like a barely fledged chick, he has become completely different in these 10 years. The guy at this time clenches his fists and tells the lady not to even try to escape from him because it's impossible, and all this time only she was in his thoughts. The girl understands that something has seriously gone wrong. She also understands that Eugenia is an empire that ruled the continent, a famous nation whose fierce struggle for power matched its greatness. The previous emperor left behind many successors, and as soon as he died, a battle for the throne broke out. Many thought that everything would develop into a civil war, but one of the princes dragged another empire into it. When all the heirs were plunged into eternal sleep, or were banished to the astronomer on the wing of the dark times, the only person who put up a fierce resistance was the current emperor. At his side stood a loyal shield and sword. This was Duke Valtail, who was the commander of the White Knights, and a cruel assassin, who was the vice commander of the White Knights, named Levertitia. The current emperor was able to emerge victorious in this struggle for power, precisely because of them. Several months later, someone approaches the main character and asks if she knows how many times he called her. The girl suggests that somewhere around 3 times, to which her interlocutor replies that no, and he called her as many as 5 times. The young lady apologizes to His Majesty and then asks what they were talking about. But the blonde gets angry and says that she didn't listen to him at all. Then he claims that the country is just beginning to recover from the end of the war, and in times like these, good news is needed. So he proposes to her to marry the Duke of Valtail. The main character then slaps herself on the cheeks, and her interlocutor asks why the girl did it. She answers that it seems she still hasn't fully woken up, but His Majesty says that this is not a dream. The girl asks if he was serious, to which the guy replies that the Duke was known as a dragon slayer in the past. His family has always been distinguished by the wealth they have accumulated over the course of their development, and he feels that this option would be an ideal match for the young lady. After all, they have always been his sword, and with honor. Therefore, if Lady Levertitia and the Duke enter into this alliance, they will become a powerful support for the entire empire. Levertitia claims that she understands what he is trying to say, but His Majesty remembers that the current Duke of Valtail is only 8 years old, and the girl asks if this is definitely not a joke. Well, the blonde guy with a smile on his face claims that she is only 21, after which the girl screams that there is a 13-year difference between them. But the emperor, still smiling, wonders if this is a problem, since the emperor married a girl with a difference of 28 years. Levertitia claims that he is laughing, but they went through a war because of this. The blonde is only interested in who else could joke like that, and then claims that judging by his face, in 10 years, the guy will become very handsome, and he guarantees it. And he also thinks that Duke Valtail, who valued her so much, would be glad if he were alive. The Duke was the head of a family that had been hunting dragons for a long time, and also the commander of the White Knights, who played a key role in the war. One day, the man offered to end this massacre, and also, holding out his hand to the young lady, he said that he needed her. Until he said this, the girl could not even think about it. The blonde at this time says that who knew that this outstanding man would become a victim of dark magic, and he certainly would not want to pass on the duchy to his son at such a young age. So what a pity, the main character answers that yes, and her interlocutor claims that as she already knows, the current duke also has enemies, so he needs a strong guardian, just like me, and power and wealth. The guy is also interested in whether he is telling the truth. The girl at this time understands that she was the adopted daughter of Viscount Selzer. It was a family with loving parents and a kind younger brother. It seemed that they would always be happy. But 10 years ago, the couple's carriage crashed, leaving Rudel and Lavertisha alone. They were immediately surrounded by evil adults who wanted to devour the orphanage. Therefore, the main character had to study hard to protect this seven. And as a result, the brother and sister, all of whose strength was spent on survival. They trusted Baron Wilfred, the younger brother of Viscount Selzer. Lavertisha followed the Baron, who treated them warmly and did not know that these warm hands would drag her underground. A little while later, the girl, in shock, asked her uncle what kind of contract it was, but the man asked her if she couldn't see that it was an IOU with her younger brother's signature, and the Selzer family was in debt. The uncle convinced little Rudel to sign a receipt, so he wanted to absorb the family, which would be mired in debt. When the man left, he said that the girl knew how to use a ball, so she could become a knight or go to the battlefield, because it would be easy to earn money, and Rudel would stay with him until the girl paid off the debt. The Lavertishes had no other choice. Endless debts dragged the girl to the battlefield, and even the nickname of the money-obsessed didn't bother her. The girl only thought about how she could save her brother and the Selzer family. So she told the emperor that power and money might be important to her, but she wondered what the young duke would think. And also, does he know anything about this marriage? His Majesty replies that it seems that this is the essence of a marriage of convenience, and the main character asks if he really doesn't know. The girl understands that it is like marrying Rudel, and if they were the same age, but the young lady does not want to manipulate the child and drag him into adult problems. After which, she says that she will think about it, since it is His Majesty's offer. But when the girl is about to leave, the guy asks, what if it is in order? Lavertisha, with a smile on her face, replies that she doesn't care and wouldn't want to marry a child. That's what the young lady said, but in the end, things turned out differently. Now she's in front of the duchy. At this time, one of the knights approaches her and asks if the captain has refused to marry the duke. The girl replies that she has, of course, refused, but he wonders if he has forgotten the order of His Majesty. To which the boy replies that naturally, this young man is the vice-captain of the White Knights, named Barton. The boy says that naturally they came by order of the emperor to deliver the things of the previous duke, after which the young lady hits him on the head and screams that he is half right. She understands that His Majesty's full mission is to deliver the pendant that belonged to the previous duke. They also have to make sure that his son, who is the current duke, wears it to the banquet. If everyone sees on it the relic that the emperor gave, then it will be official confirmation, maintaining a strong bond between the ducal and imperial families. The girl clearly sees that His Majesty is trying to bring her together with the duke, after which they enter the room, and the butler asks them to wait there while he brings them to the duke. Well, when the young lady enters the room, she is surprised because she sees Scarlet Knights there. She also wonders why they are there, and realizes that the Scarlet Knights are the same defenders of the Empire as the White Knights. But this is an elite that consists only of the highest nobility, so they value dignity and honor most of all. In other words, the White Knights, to which Lavertiche belongs, give preference to knights of any rank with suitable skills. They were sent to the front lines, a place which all knights' apprentices avoid, and his war for the throne of Lavertiche made a huge contribution. Therefore, the emperor's trust in the White Knights grew. At that time, the Scarlet Knights could only watch and criticize them. Relations between the groups were strained from the start and only got worse over time. The only reason why there were no direct conflicts between them was the difference in the tasks of their groups. Now the young lady understands that, judging by the fact that this mission was entrusted not only to them, they must put aside old disputes and carry it out unconditionally. At this time, one of the knights asks why the girl is so tense, and does His Majesty really dislike the White Knights so much that he received a transfer of the former commander's pendant to them? This guy is the vice captain of the Scarlet Knights, named Egan Kellers. Well, the guy says that, judging by the reaction, they didn't even know about it, or so stupid that they don't understand shame. But at that very moment, the high-flying White Knights jump up and shout for the guy to watch his language. However, the blonde says that it is not for mongrels to judge this, after which the other knights laugh. The main character is silent at this time. But at the same moment, someone says that everyone has heard that there is one in the White Knights who will put anyone into eternal sleep for money. Another guy asks if they would get up to do something so dirty. Well, the main character at the same moment says that this is true, and she is the person who for a good sum can put even nobles into eternal sleep. Levertitia asks if he really wants to offer her money, after which the guy is surprised. The young lady claims that the entire Imperial Palace knows about his bribes, and that they even bought themselves out of the war with money. After which the girl asks if he was really that scared, but the vice captain only screams, asking where she heard that. Levertitia, with a smile on his face, asks what he will do, since he has always been the one who decides all the gold. But you can't buy a mongrel like that, after which the vice captain gets angry and tells her to stop talking nonsense. He'll also deal with the dog first, but Barton just tells Egan to hold his horses. After all, he is talking to the commander of the White Knights. The other knights then whisper among themselves in shock and wonder if this is the emblem of the leader of the knights. Another one of them asks if the appointment ceremony has already taken place, and if the girl received the position during the chaos of Duke Voltail's eternal sleep. The main character thinks how noisy it is there, and wonders if they really thought that someone would organize an official ceremony in the middle of a war. Levertitia also understands that how could the knights of the palace know news from the battlefield? But the polite address in accordance with her rank did not change. Egan realizes that he has barely become vice captain, and this girl has already been made leader. Levertitia, watching all this, understands that his thoughts are obvious, and now this guy will at least quiet down a little. The young lady is also interested in what the Duke is doing and why there is still no news from him. But then the girl hears some strange sound and wonders if something has happened to the guy. The young lady immediately rises from her seat and turns to Barton, asking if he heard. The blonde man wonders what they are doing there, and the young lady opens the window and says that she will go check, but let the vice captain stay there just in case. But when the main character jumps, the guy in shock asks what she is doing, because this is the 3rd floor. The blonde says that this girl is crazy. The young lady at this time approaches the maid and asks what is going on there, because she heard some scream. After which the maid screams that the Duke is upstairs, and when the main character looks at the tree, then he wonders if this boy is the current Duke Voltail. Another maid at this time asks if the Duke has climbed the tree again, but they kept calling him, but he pretends not to hear. The girl realizes that this guy looks even younger than she imagined, and the young lady is unsure what to do now. One of the maids claims that she will have to wait until the Duke comes down, even though the knights of the palace have arrived. Well, at that very moment, the main character starts to climb the tree, after which she ends up next to the young man, and she says that it seems that he has a look that looks into the very soul, and also claims that she is pleased to meet the Duke. Levertitia introduces herself as the commander of the White Knights. The guy then asks who she is, and he tells the girl to leave, after which the lady thinks what a little bastard he is, and also extends her hand to him. But the Duke jumps down from the tree on his own, and then starts running away. The maids follow the master and tell him to come back because he is a guest and they are waiting. The main character thinks that this guy is pretty fast, but doesn't look like some wild animal and looks more like a kitten. She also realizes that this guy doesn't seem to know anything about her, and maybe it's because of his age that he doesn't know the details of the war. The girl also understands that since he is on guard, it will be difficult to get close, but nothing can be done about it, so she will try to do everything carefully so as not to exert unnecessary pressure. At this time, the guy goes deeper into the forest and says that he went far away so they won't find him there. But at that very moment, he remembers that he forgot the book. But there are only a few of them on the continent. He also understands that it's all because of that woman, because he climbed the tree so that no one would bother him, and she ruined everything. The guy also thinks who she is, and remembers how the young lady said that she is from the White Knights, after which he understands that it seems to be his father's order. But the young man also thinks whether she is the new commander. And this lady's movements were clearly different from the knights of the duchy. This girl looked like his father, after which the young man says that it is annoying. But at that very moment, the main character appears next to him and asks if he has any problems. The guy steps back in shock and asks how the lady got there. Well, she just hands the boy a book, and she claims that she came to return this, after which she asks if this book is his. The red-haired boy takes the book and then asks who the lady is. Levertitia replies that she is a knight from the Imperial palace, but the young man replies that this is not what he asked and asks if she knows who he is. Levertitia replies that she knows, and he is the Duke of Valtail, and also the heir of the previous duke, who died from dark magic. The girl asks if everything is correct, to which the guy replies that he has been wondering why she then speaks to him so disrespectfully. Levertitia replies that she is impudent in life, and even in front of the emperor, but the young man says that she has a head still in place. The girl replies that fortunately, and she knows her place well, after which the guy starts to leave, but the young lady follows him and says that the guy is quite agile. So the girl asks if he has been training, but the guy looks even better than some of the knights under her command. He has excellent endurance as well as a good understanding of the situation, so she thinks that he must have received training from his father. But the guy coldly tells the girl to keep quiet and not mention it. The young lady is a little surprised by this and then asks for forgiveness. Kairos says, "What kind of sudden politeness is this?" And Levertitia replies that she did say that she knows her place. The guy understands that this girl is funny, and she has no drop of nobility, no dignity, no politeness. It's just a pretense, and he sees an adult sulking like that for the first time. The young lady asks if she's gone too far, and she just wanted to return the book and make friends. The guy says his name at this time. The young lady does not understand what he is talking about, after which the young man repeats that his name is Kairos Valtail. The girl then smiles and claims that she has already said her name, but they say it again. The Duke says that it is difficult to pronounce, after which the lady offers him to address her as he pleases. Well, and then the main character realizes that this boy really does resemble his father, and not only in appearance. After all, even his energy is similar, and she thinks that in 10 years, this will not be the only similarity. At this time, the young man wonders what the lady is looking at, but she only thinks that now this guy is just a kitten. Levertitia also asks if she can find out where the guy is going, to which he replies that she has switched to informal speech again and says that he will not tell. The girl says that he can whisper in her ear if he is shy. A little while later, they're already approaching the estate, and the girl realizes that the guy ran away, but eventually returned himself. The butler then turns to his lordship and says that at last they have waited. He also wonders where the gentleman was, since there was such a commotion there. The guy only answers that he was leaving, after which he heads off further, and the butler apologizes for the fact that they were so rude to the guests. The main character answers that nothing, after which she says that she will go too, but understands that the butler had a hard day. Then they enter the room where the other knights are sitting. One of them, seeing the boy, asks if this child is the Duke of Valtail. He had heard that the guy was young, but he hadn't thought that he was that young. The young man at this point sits down at the table and asks why they were looking for him. But the main character, looking at how the guy is sitting, understands that his feet don't even reach the floor. At this time, someone reports that they brought the guy one thing, and it is the pendant of the late Duke Valtail. The guy then looks coldly at the pendant, and the main character wants to say something. But at the same time, the vice commander of the Scarlet Knights claims that the emperor personally asked them to deliver it because it is his father's precious jewel. They are the closest knights to his majesty, and his order perfectly shows how much he values the duke. At this time, the main character pays attention to the expression on the boy's face. And the blonde man continues to say that His Majesty hopes that the new duke will wear this decoration at the upcoming banquet. But the young man, clenching his fist, says that there is no need for this, after which he tells them to hand it over to the emperor, that he won't wear it to the banquet, after which he takes the pendant altogether, and he throws it on the floor and tells the knights to return it to His Majesty. Everyone looks at this in shock. The vice captain claims that this is not just a pendant, but a gift from His Majesty, and he wonders if the Duke is trying to insult him so openly. The guy replies that they themselves arranged the funeral without the body, and now they are asking him to be content with the decoration. And who is trying to insult whom? The blonde is surprised by this and doesn't even know what to say. The young man only says that he told them that he doesn't need this pendant and wonders if they don't understand the words. Again, he turns to his lordship again, but the guy claims that his mouth is tired of talking, and if they have nothing more to say, then let them go. The young lady then says that they will come back another time if that is his answer. But the vice captain of the Scarlet Knights is surprised and asks what she is talking about and are they really leaving. But this is His Majesty's assignment. The girl only suggests that he stop being rude and leave, after which she says that this is an order. The blonde is angry, but obeys the young lady, and the Duke at this time thinks whether she said that she would return. And the guy wonders what this woman's intentions are. At this time, someone in the bar asks if his friend knows the new rumor. He asks what, to which his colleague replies that they say the fall of the Valtail Duchy will happen soon. His friend wonders what kind of nonsense the guy is talking about, but he claims that the Scarlet Knights were so angry that they were talking loudly about it. And didn't he hear? Well, the new duke is only 8 years old. The vice captain of the White Knights sighs and says that they never stop talking about it, after which he also turns to the young lady and asks what they will do, and also whether she has any plan. The guy also says that everything is a bit confused, but the order of His Majesty must be carried out. Levertitia replies that he knew for sure that everything would be like this, and the emperor creates troubles for others and then has fun. Barton says that this is very disrespectful, but the girl asks, what about Togo? Because the truth is the truth. The emperor knew that the Duke would react this way, and he entrusted her with this mission to look into the problems between her and this child. But she still can't refuse the order and will have to see the Duke's sweet face again. The girl also says that she wants to go look for his counters, after which the commander in the egg could not be surprised and asks what she is talking about. At this time, the main character asks for another mug, but Barton says that she is already drunk, so he suggests stopping and going. At this time, the Scarlet Knights enter the bar, and one of them says that they taught him a good lesson. Because the guy looked so upset, and this little thing doesn't even know how to talk normally. One of them then sees the main character and suggests to his colleagues to just look at how pathetic she is, and also calls himself the commander of the knights. Levertitia says that she is not seriously drunk and can walk on her own. But at that very moment, someone grabs her hand, and he says that he came across something dirty. Levertitia asks who else it is, after which he claims that this is the same arrogant Enzod. He is the captain of the Scarlet Knights. The man at this time only tells her not to mention his name with her dirty mouth because it is unpleasant for him even to hear it. The vice commander of the White Knights understands that a fight will inevitably occur if nothing is done, after which he turns to the captain. But the girl with a smile on her face says that she doesn't like it either and that she's just talking. So he wonders why he is making such a fuss and he is such a pompous idiot. The man just says how vulgar it is, and the White Knights are definitely finished if this is their commander. The young lady just says how funny he is, and it would be better if he worried about himself because she heard that the Scarlet Knights criticize him even more than her, and she wonders if listening to this chatter is really his dream. Levertitia claims that she had an idea to resign after this mission and hand over the duties to her subordinates, but now she doesn't even know whether Enzod is stupid or brave. The girl also wonders how he thinks his idiots will be able to do anything against her knights. The commander of the Scarlet Knights gets angry after this and says that it looks like he has confidence and the girl is not lacking. He also offers to make a bet, and the main character asks where this offer came from. The man claims that His Majesty's current mission concerns the Duke of Valtail, and he must appear at the banquet with the previous duke's pendant. And then he will completely hand over the task to the White Knights, after which the man throws the knife, and he flies past the head of the young lady. She asks if he really wants to dump this headache on them, and if so, then he shouldn't even dream about it. But the man claims that he will offer conditions that will please her if the White Knights complete the task. Then half of the annual budget of the Scarlet Knights will go to her people. The main character is surprised by this, but the Knights of the Scarlet Knights are no less. The man says that in case of failure, the girl will refuse the positions and disappear. Levertitia asks how this is supposed to work, since His Majesty the Emperor personally appoints the commanders, after which Enzod smirks and says that then there will be another condition. The girl will admit her incompetence and will apologize to the Scarlet Knights on her knees. At this time, Barton tells the captain to wait, and the commander of the Scarlet Knights tells that this bastard should not interfere. The main character is only interested in whether it is enough for him to put her on her knees. Then he picks up the fork from the floor and throws it right where the knife is, and also asks if he really wants to try to take her head. Enzod clenches his fists and claims that he is not going to get his hands dirty for such a scumbag. After all, she herself will plunge into eternal sleep somewhere. But the girl thinks that it would be more fun that way, after which she says how boring it is. However, she still accepts the challenge and says that they will never lose. The vice captain then turns to her in surprise. She also claims that a year's salary is at stake and wonders if they have enough money. The man replies that he thought that the girl would agree, and the dog blinded by gold would end up on his knees in front of them, and she won't do anything about it because the task must be completed before the banquet. A little while later, the girl is lying in bed, and the vice captain is telling him everything that happened yesterday. Levertitia suggests that he not make noise because her head is already buzzing from a hangover. The guy at this time claims that this is too reckless a bet, but the girl asks if he knows that she is ready to plunge people into eternal sleep for coins, and there's nothing to be done about it. But the vice captain still turns to her, after which the girl puts her hand on his shoulder and suggests that he calm down. She also asks if the White Knights can be scared by such a simple task, and she always does what she is told. So let the guy not worry and just settle down and relax. Levertitia understands that she just needs to persuade the child, and there will be no problems with this. But a little while later, when the young lady comes to his lordship, she turns to him, and he asks if it is possible to lock people on the balcony, and also if he can open it. Levertitia understands that she could not even try to convince him, as she immediately fell into a trap. The young lady realizes that she followed him when he wanted to show her something, but she should have guessed that this guy would try to get rid of the one who is in his way. But since they've come to this point, she has only one method left. The guy then turns around and wonders if the girl has simply given up, But then he shakes his head and thinks that he better not look there, because this is a lady pretending to be friendly for no particular reason. But he knows that it was an order from His Majesty and does not want to think about it. The guy understands that he can lead the duchy without the help of the emperor. He needs to prove it, so he will become stronger and smarter and do his best. 30 minutes later, the young man asks why dark magic, and the young lady compliments him and asks if he wants to know why this magic is forbidden. The lady claims that she can cause significant harm, not only to one side, but to the entire continent, and even in their empire, there is a strict ban. The young man then says that it is clear, but in shock, asks how the lady got there. The girl, with a smile on her face, replies that she jumped from the balcony and entered through the door. After which the young man says what kind of monkey she is and asks where she got the cookies. Levertitia replies that the maids shared and they are so loyal to him. The young man then says that his opinion will not change, no matter how much she tries, so the lady's train simply leaves. But the girl just hands the guy a cookie and says that it's delicious, and also asks if he wants to try it. The guy says that she is a crazy knight, but the young lady thinks how cute he is. Levertitia says that if he really wants this, then she will leave, but he still hasn't kicked her out by force. After which the lady asks if he is not interested in his father's past. After all, the adults around him probably offered him some semblance of politeness, consolation, or compassion. But deep down, they were rather glad that their family was not being dragged into this. The guy then asks how the lady knows, and she answers that she often felt afraid, but she could not give up her mouth and her heritage. That's why she read as many books as possible, avoided people in order to gain the power that would help her protect her family. The young lady thinks that she understands this feeling better than most because she has walked the same path. But if you constantly keep moving forward, sooner or later you'll break down. And the guy doesn't need to repeat her mistakes, after which the young lady says she's grateful for his hard work. And he understands that the Duke feels because she was the same. The young man then says that the lady is definitely a strange person. And the main character looks at him in shock and also thinks, did he almost cry? But she wanted to tease him a little. But it's amazing because the guy was able to restrain himself. In front of a stranger, Levertitia offers to talk. This time, honestly asks why he doesn't want to get a pendant. After all, it belonged to the boy's father. But after that, the young man says that he is not his father. The main character asks what this means, but hears only silence in response. And she understands that the guy doesn't seem to be going to answer. She also thinks that let him do as he wants. Although the girl was unable to hear his true thoughts that day, she still continued to visit the Duke's estate. Levertitia made friends with the local maids and played hide-and-seek with the young master. This can be called taming, and the girl thinks that they will become closer if she continues this. At the same moment, the butler turns to the Duke with concern, and he asks what happened. The servant replies that a guest has come to see him, and the guy asks who it is, after which the man replies that Duke Everett has arrived. This makes the young man tense, and the main character thinks that it is about the family of Enzode, who is the commander of the Scarlet Knights. The conversation will be difficult, because in terms of status in the Empire, he is equal to Duke Valtail. They are not close enough for Duke Everett to simply visit the guy. That's why the main character thinks why he came, but then she sees how the guy is shaking and asks if he is okay. The girl understands that this young man seems scared, but she thinks why, and maybe he did something to him, just like the uncle who took her Rudel. After which, the main character thinks that he shouldn't make such a face and puts her hand on the guy's shoulder. The young man immediately asks what she's doing, but the main character only tells Kairos, Valtail, not to be afraid of anything, because now he is a duke, so let him behave calmly and confidently, and no matter what happens inside, he will be fine because she will protect him. The young man then tells the girl to keep this promise, agrees to something. She also says that he may not know, but she is quite a famous knight, including as an enemy of Duke Everett. He will immediately try to kick her out when he sees her, and the guy wonders what the lady will do. But the girl tells the guy not to worry because she thinks that their games of hide and seek will soon pay off. A little while later, they enter the guest room, and Duke Everett asks if the boy chewed well. The young man replies that yes, after which the man says that he hasn't been able to visit him for some time, and asks if the guy has collected his thoughts, to which he replies that yes, and thanks him for his concern. The man says that he is glad to hear this, after which he says that he forgot to introduce someone, because today he did not come alone. After which he says that this person should come in. At that moment, a lady enters the room and greets the Duke, and also states that her name is Violet Everett. The man claims that this is his daughter, and this year she turns 12. She is so kind and gentle that in their family they call her an angel. The brunette also says that the beauty and the girl were not deprived either, and offers come constantly. The girl at the same moment sits down near the Duke and says that his tea has cooled down, after which he asks if she can pour a new cup, since she is just studying the tea serving. The guy is surprised by this, but still says yes, and the man claims that the girl is working hard to become an assistant to the future empress, and he thinks that if her age allowed, the lady could lay claim to the empress's place. After this, the brunette with a smile on her face tells her dad that she is only 12. After which, she pours tea into a mug and says that people her age are much better. At this time, the Duke thinks how uncomfortable he is and why the girl sat so close. At this time, the lady with a smile on her face tells the Duke that she has prepared tea for him, after which she tells him not to refuse, lest the tea get cold. The guy at this time closes his eyes and thinks when they will finally leave him alone, after which the girl drops the mug and it breaks. Some of the tea falls onto her hands, and the man immediately cries out to his daughter, and the maids ask if she is okay. At this time, the girl looks at her red hands and asks what to do. At the same moment, the maid screams for a wet towel to be brought quickly and asks the lady to be patient for a little while. One of them asks how this could happen, and if scars remain on the neat hands of the Duke's daughter, it could cause problems and even lead to a quarrel between the families. The guy at this time claims that he did not do it, but the Duke only asks his daughter if everything is okay. The girl with tears in her eyes that everything is okay, and it was her first time meeting the Duke, so she was a little nervous, but she still asks him to be a little kinder to her next time. The man then tries to calm his daughter down, but then with a smirk on his face says that nothing would have happened. If the Duke understood her feelings, the guy at this time thinks that it was not him, and he only touched the cup but did not push it to fall. However, the young man wonders if the fault really lies with him, and what should he do if the girl gets hurt. But at that very moment, someone opens the window and tells them to wait, because the Duke is not to blame for this incident. At the same moment, one of the maids asks Miss how she got there, because it's the second floor. Someone else says that they asked her not to go in through the windows because it's dangerous. But the girl says that it's nothing because she already climbed the tree after the Duke. One of them then asks, what if the lady suddenly gets hurt? Well, the Duke's daughter immediately asks who the lady is and how dare she do such a thing. The main character only replies that she is glad to meet the lady, and she is also the commander of the White Knights named Levertitia. The girl then asks if she is really Levertitia from the White Knights, and Duke Everett says what a nasty girl she is. The young lady then says that now she understands from whom Esnod picked up these words, and the guy is just like his father. The Duke's daughter asks if the girl is trying to insult the Everett family, after which she tells her father that they should arrest this rude woman. Well, the main character says that alas, without an order from His Majesty, they will not touch her with a finger, because she is his first sword. The girl then says that she was told that the first ball is her brother Enzod, after which the Duke turns to his daughter and tells her not to bother her head with such things, and also simply ignored this girl, because she herself does not understand anything. The Duke at this time is watching the lady, and he understands that she came after all and also kept her promise, after which he understands that he will not be afraid. and he claims that it is not his fault because he did not break the cup. The guy understands that he will keep his part of the promise, after which he says that it was a light touch, which was not enough to knock the cup out of his hands. Levertitia replies that she saw it too, and as soon as the Duke extended his hand, then the girl threw the cup on the floor. And after all, the daughter of the highest nobles of the Everett family does such things. So what a disappointment it is. The girl then claims that she didn't do it, and wonders if they really want to blame her for everything. The main character asks if she is talking about the accusations, after which she says that this is just advice, because the lady will not spend a day in the Imperial Palace if she enters there with such skills. After all, a lady would be better suited to a place as an actress in the theater than as a servant to the Empress. The girl then gets angry and takes the cup in her hands, after which she throws it at the main character and asks how this girl dares to be rude to her. Levertitia only asks if she really throws cups, and that's great. After which he wonders if it was really her they called a gentle angel Violetta, then understands what she did and says that she didn't want to. But her father only screams for that damn dog to stop, because His Majesty often turns a blind eye to this. But there must be a limit to her impudence. So he asks how she dares to be rude to his family and allows herself to do such a thing. Kairos then stands in front of the young lady and tells the Duke to stop because all the blame lies with his daughter. So let him leave Levertitia alone. The main character is a little surprised by this and wonders if the guy is really protecting her, but recently he was shaking from the mere mention of Duke Everett. At this time, the man thinks what a petty, persistent person this is, after which he turns around and apologizes for the inconvenience. He also says that it would be better for them to leave, and also turns to Violetta and asks why she froze, because they are leaving. The man also understands that this devil dares to interfere with his plans, and after Oliver time he was going to absorb the Duchy of Voltaire. But unexpected changes appeared, and before that, the guy was a quiet child who was afraid to even look into the eyes. But today, he dared to contradict him, and therefore, he would have to deal with him another time. A little while later, the main character's wound is treated, and she realizes that on the battlefield, it wouldn't even be called a wound. So she can't believe that she was treated so carefully. The Duke then asks if her arm still hurts. Well, the main character asks what he's talking about, after which he claims that she's fine. The guy also asks why the hell she covered herself with her hands, if she could have just dodged, and what they would have done if they had hit her in the face. Levertitia asks if he is really worried about her and his sister. Levertitia has seen worse things happen. The guy then just looks away and tells her to stop teasing him. He also asks what he should call her, if there is a name that is so hard to pronounce. And then he claims that from now on she will be Letty, to which the girl replies that it is fine and addresses the Duke as Kai. The guy asks why she shortens the name without asking, but the girl asks if he himself did not do the same. The young man says that he is 8 years old, is a child too, but she replies that no, and she is older, after which the guy asks how old she is, and his interlocutor replies that she is 21 years old. The lady says that she is also young, but the guy just says that he can't believe it. The main character then also wonders if Duke Everett always comes and behaves like this. The guy replies that yes, he often came to ask about the affairs of the duchy, or him. Levertitia understands that this old man clearly did not want to communicate because he was planning something. The young man then says that he is afraid of the Duke, and if the lady had not intervened, he would have remained the man who poured boiling water on the Duke's daughter. The main character then asks what the man told him, but when the guy remains silent, the young lady wonders if it is really too hard to say, after which she claims that in her childhood, there was a person whom she was also afraid of, so she understands what he feels. The young man then wonders if she really had one like that, and that can't be true. The guy asks who could have scared her and whether it was really a person, but the girl only wonders what that surprised tone is. She also claims that they could have a drink and talk, but he is too young for that. The Duke then asks if she even knows what it means to be an adult, and he doesn't want to become as childish as she is. After which, he also asks what the lady is proposing, but she claims that they think it is fair that only she comes to him and tells him everything. So the girl asks him if he wants to come visit her. The guy is surprised by this, and the young lady suggests that he come to the Imperial Palace if he wants to see her. The young man asks why she assumed he would agree to, which the girl replies that she doesn't know whether he will come or not, but she will still wait, after which Levertisha leaves and says that it is time for her to go. The guy just asks how she can be so selfish, and does she think he will come? But the young man still understands that even though the girl said so, she will probably come tomorrow herself, so he will not go to the Imperial Palace. Well, 3 days later, the young lady still doesn't come, and the guy wonders if she won't be here today either. The young man understands that he doesn't care if Letty isn't going to look for him, because that way he won't have to hide anymore. So the guy jumps out of the tree, and the maid immediately asks if this is the Duke's. One of them approaches the gentleman and asks if he was really in the tree, but the butler was looking for him because they have guests. They are waiting in the Duke's room and have brought suits for the banquet at the palace. The boy realizes that he was asked to wear the pendant at this banquet, and maybe when Letty invited him to the palace, she meant a banquet, after which the guy says that it's good and he'll watch. And when he leaves, one of the maids says that the Duke has somehow changed his mind and is behaving more restrainedly. A little while later, the guy already goes to the person who provides the clothes. At this time, the main character is in the training area of the White Knights. She asks if Barton is ready to attack, because if so, then let him attack. Well, the guy at that very moment says that he would like not to participate in the bet. The girl asks how to understand this, and he claims that it is about the Duke of Valte's pendant. Levertisha asks if he is still upset, and the guy says that this is not a joke at all, because there is only a week left, and they can't even leave the palace because of training before the banquet. She still has the jewelry. Levertisha claims that there is still enough time, after which she catches the knight and knocks the sword out of his hands, after which she says that his swing accuracy decreases when he is lost in thought. So let Barton concentrate and not worry about the bet, because she has a plan that should work. The guy says that he will have to believe the lady and asks what kind of plan this is, after which the girl says that everything is simple, because if she cannot leave, then she must call the other side there. The vice captain then asks what the lady is talking about and whether he will really come here, but this even sounds absurd. The main character asks if he is talking about absurdity, but claims that in the meantime the Duke is already there. Roger then asks in shock if the Duke has already arrived. The main character then turns to the guy and says that she thought she would never see him again, to which the Duke replies that he did not say that he agreed to go to the banquet and was just taking a walk. The main character then wonders if he really thought that she invited him there only because of the pendant, but he still went to look for her first, after which the young lady strokes the boy's head and says that he is such a cute baby, but the boy only tells her not to touch his head. The main character asks if he missed her and if he is interested in hearing about her past. The guy replies that he is not at all, and the vice captain wonders if it is really the Duke, and the atmosphere has changed dramatically. The guy asks when the lady will fulfill her promise, to which she replies that it is too early. The young man wonders why she invited him there at all, or whether the main character asks the guy to wait a minute. Then he turns to the vice captain of the Knights and asks if he was involved in training the younger recruits. The guy replies that he was, but the Duke then insists that the lady not say that he came there to train. The girl then screams that a weak body means a weak spirit, and the guy needs to prepare physically to listen to her story, after which the Duke asks what it means, and the vice captain asks why it should be him. Levertisha replies that she has never trained the younger ones and is afraid that she might break something. The vice captain says that he has already trained with the commander, after which the young lady pulls him closer. and with a smile on his face, he tells him to follow the order. An hour later, Barton is already heading towards the young lady, and he says that he will now fall into eternal sleep. The girl says that he did a great job, and the captain replies that he didn't think the Duke would be so fast, and he was never able to overtake him. Levertitia claims that the guy is a good guy and now let him clean up the training area, which shocks him. But still, he cannot disobey the commander and dejectedly asserts that he had to run away from this knightly group. At this time, the girl approaches the Duke and claims that this is the first time she has seen a child exhaust her vice captain. The young man claims that he can fulfill at least one of her conditions. Levertitia says that the training is over and they move on to the next step. This movement is at a great speed, after which the main character lifts the guy in her arms and runs with him. The young man screams for the girl to let him go and put him on the ground. A little while later, they find themselves in the dining room, and the guy claims that he was curious about what she was planning, but he still wonders why there is a mountain of food. Levertitia tells him not to worry, it's her portion. Kairos asks if this is a dining hall for knights only, and if they all eat that much. The girl claims that she loves to eat, after which she wonders why the peacock doesn't try, and whether they are not hungry after all that running around. The Duke only wonders if there is poison there, which surprises the main character, and the guy says that he was told to be careful with food outside the house because it could be poisoned. Levertitia asks who said that, to which the boy replies that it was Duke Everett who did it, and the girl thinks that now it is clear what he was trying to do, and he sowed fear and anxiety in the child's heart, so that he would not trust anyone anymore, after which the main character says that if he doesn't want to, then he doesn't have to eat. After all, she will get more, and the young lady takes a piece from his plate and then eats it. Even after this, the guy thinks how stupid he is, because he again believes Everett's words, even though she promised not to be afraid anymore. Then the young man puts a spoon with food in his mouth, and the main character asks how he likes it, and if it is tasty. Kairos replies that he is not, and the girl understands that he looks calmer now than before. Levertitia also understands that she did not invite him to the palace for other reasons. I just wanted to give him a little freedom, because unlike her, he lives under constant pressure from his surroundings. He is able to live a free and wonderful life. A little while later, they are already finishing their meal, and the main character asks if the guy sees that there is no poison there. The young man answers that yes, after which Levertitia says that since he has worked hard and eaten well, it is time for a story. The guy asks if this is true, to which the girl replies that yes, she will also tell about the man she was afraid of, and how she got the nickname of an assassin obsessed with money. The young lady then thinks about where to start, and then begins her story about how as a child she lost her parents just like him. After this, the girl told the Duke about the incident with the carriage and Rudel, and also about the defense of Ulifreda, which she was so afraid of. A little while later, the young lady claims that her uncle has dragged them into debt, and then he forced her to return the money, and she could only follow his orders. Otherwise, they would have lost their family name, and her brother would have become a slave. The Duke can't stand it any longer and screams where such crazy people come from. He also says that it is not the young lady's fault, because adults should have helped. Letty just wanted a peaceful life with her brother. The girl, at this time, understands that she has not met a person who would take her side for a long time. And that's a pretty good feeling. The young lady just tells the guy not to get too worked up, but he asks how he can calm down in such a situation, and whether the girl is not angry. Levertitia replies that of course she is angry, and that is why she called him, because Duke Everett wants to do the same to him. The guy is surprised by this, and the young lady claims that she understands that it is difficult to talk about this, so he can't leave him. They have no guarantee that the Duke won't try to take control of the guy again. The young man then says that in reality, he always wanted to earn his father's recognition. Levertitia asks if he is talking about the former Duke of Vetal. Kairos claims that the girl probably knew that his father was a hero when he was just born. At first, the guy admired him and wanted to become like him, but at some point, the father stopped coming home. The last time the boy saw him was when he was 3 years old, and many people talk as if they knew him well, but not him. The main character claims that the Duke was busy managing the knights, after which she even apologizes. Kairos says that nothing, and he was told this often, so he tried to understand, but the boy also thought about his sick mother. She told the boy every time that his dad had won the battle again and asked if he missed him. The woman continued to desire the man who had abandoned them. Mom believed that he would come back if he was patient, so he trusted her words. His mother missed him, but did not try to interfere, and ultimately never waited for him. The boy needed a father who could take care of his mother, not a hero ready to save the world. And his mother believed in him and also waited until the very end. The main character thinks about the commander and realizes that he seemed like a hero to her, even to her, a half-crazed girl on the battlefield. The Duke was always ready to lend a helping hand, and she took that for granted. The girl also recalled how one day the knight told the commander that his wife was in critical condition and asked if he was thinking of visiting her. Well, the man replied that no, and everything was fine. The knight also said that his son was desperately looking for him, and that they would also sort out the expedition, and he could see his family. Well, the man just told the guy to stop and not raise the issue again. The commander said he couldn't abandon them one step away from victory, and she thought he had reasonable reasons for not leaving the battlefield. But it seems that he turned out to be a madman who gave his all to the war, turning away even from his family. Now the guy claims that at that time he met Duke Everett. He said that he would support him instead of his busy father. The guy couldn't refuse because he wanted to be like this ideal adult. At this time, the main character is thinking what kind of snake this Duke is, because he offered to replace his father, and Kairos could not refuse. The girl claims that she has a rough idea of what kind of upbringing he received, and the man destroyed any trust in people except for himself. That's why he always ran away and preferred solitude. He couldn't even eat outside. After all, Duke Everett manipulated his subconscious and wanted to isolate him from the outside world. The young man then nods and states that he thinks that was when he began to avoid others. He was probably afraid to listen to his instructions because he could be abandoned again. And although he knew that his father was completely different, but he still unconsciously thought that it was his fault that he didn't come back. After these words, silence hangs between them, and the main character hands the guy a medallion and also says that she will return it to him. The young man asks if it was really jewelry, but then he opens it, and the main character asks if it was really a medallion. The guy sees his mother and himself inside, and also says that it is his last gift, which he always kept with him. But at some point, he lost it, and he can't even believe that his father took him with him. The main character understands that the commander was her benefactor, but a bad person for everyone. So now she claims that tomorrow the guy can come to the palace again and thinks that she is simply repaying his debt. Levertitia says that she will help the boy until he overcomes his fears. The young man then asks if he really needs to go to the palace again, to which the lady says that the food there is delicious, but the young man claims that this is not true. From that day on, the Duke constantly came to the palace for training. The vice captain understands that at first he did not know why the commander was going to train such a small child. But now it's obvious, because a couple of days ago he couldn't even hold a sword, and now he's capable of sparring with him. But at this rate, he can surpass him in 5 years, so this is an incomprehensible talent. The vice captain tells the Duke that he has done a great job and suggests that he finish. The guy breathes heavily and thinks that finally. However, he also thinks why Levertitia didn't come today, because usually she sat on the bench and watched the training every day. The young man then wondered if Levertitia was busy, and the vice captain claims that the banquet will begin tomorrow, and the commander has gone to meet with His Majesty. The guy realizes that there is almost no time left, and the scarf he ordered has already been delivered. While training, he didn't even notice how time flew by, but the young man also thinks about how to give this scarf and whether to call it a gift that will remind him. But then the girl would laugh at him for the rest of her life. The vice captain at this time asks if the Duke really wanted to say something to the commander. But at that very moment they hear someone scream. It turns out to be a man from the Scarlet Knights. He asks how the guy dares to criticize the Scarlet Knights, but his interlocutor replies that it is unfair and asks why only the White Knights must stand guard during the banquet all night. The Duke understands that there is some kind of quarrel between the Imperial Knights and the vice captain, suggests that he stand there and sing while he goes and checks. At that moment, Egan comes there and asks who should stand on the street instead of the pathetic commoners. But one of the White Knights asks what he's talking about. This is not only their group's responsibility, and he doesn't understand what they're trying to do, if they've already trained together, and do they really want to say that the Scarlet Knights will take all the glory for protecting His Majesty for themselves. At that moment, Barton comes up to them and asks what is going on. Another vice captain says that the commander of the beggars has arrived, but the boys answer that any task for a knight must be honorable. The Duke at this time thinks that it is getting noisy and whether he should really intervene. He doesn't quite understand, but it seems to him that there is some kind of dispute between the White and Scarlet Knights. Barton suggests that his interlocutor stop talking nonsense and get out of there before she comes back. The Duke thinks he'd better go, but first he needs to call Barton for a few words. At this point, the blonde asks if they really have so much free time to complain, and is he also sure that the child will appear on the jar with the pendant, and no one has forgotten about it. Because if Duke Valtail doesn't wear the jewelry, their commander will crawl on his knees before them. At this time, the guy is thinking about what they are talking about and whether Levertitia will really be on her knees. At this time, the blonde asks if things are really that bad with her, but this girl constantly complains that she doesn't have enough money. And soon, she will be picking the pockets of her subordinates because she is a beggar among the beggars. The knight then gets angry and screams at him to shut up, and also learns to keep his mouth shut, after which he even hits the blonde in the face. Then a fight breaks out there, and the Duke watches from around the corner. A little while later, someone else comes there and asks what the hell is going on there. The knights understand that it is Commander Enzod. The blonde immediately tells the commander that it was the White Knights who started it all, but the man only tells him to shut up, after which he claims that he doesn't care how crazy their captain is. But how can you attack other knights? Or they are just as crazy. Enzod also says that mad dogs pull out teeth, but the vice commander of the White Knights says that they started it, after which the man asks how he dares to argue with the commander and wants to hit him. But the main character defends her knight and asks what business he has with her guys. The brunette asks if she has really gone so crazy that she can no longer distinguish good from evil, to which the girl replies that it is obvious that it was his people who were looking for a fight. She also suggests that they apologize and leave while she is kind and not make the problem worse. Enzod asks which of them should apologize, and he even feels sorry for the knights who have such a crazy commander. The girl says that it seems he has not yet understood the situation, after which they begin to fight. The vice commander watching this understands that they have such strength even with a wooden sword, and his commander is on another level. The main character says, at an important time, that Enzod has grown up, but she can't be defeated like that. Enzod says that the lady has only brute force, and the Duke watching this says that he can't believe it, and he wonders if they really are going to do something like that in the Imperial Palace. The vice captain realizes that it is the Duke and thinks that he is standing there and not worrying about anything. At this time, the guy asks if they shouldn't be stopped, but the knight asks who can do this, because even the combined strength of all the knights present would not be enough. So they will just wait, because soon the right person will appear. The young man wonders who he is, but at that very moment someone runs up to them and screams what they are doing there, and they started a battle in the middle of the palace. After which the lady tells them to stop right now. It turns out to be the emperor's assistant, Eveline Simon. The woman screams for them to stop right now and asks if they even understand where they started the fight. The main character then tries to justify herself, but the woman asks if they are not ashamed to call themselves Knights of the Emperor after this. The Duke says that Levertitia looks like she won't listen even to His Majesty. But why is she arguing with this woman then? The vice captain states that Eveline is in charge of the knight's budget, after which she states that she is forced to warn that any more chaos will result in a pay cut. So if they don't want this, then let them disperse immediately. The knights immediately run away from there. And Eveline also turns to Sir Enzode and says that it is time for him to go too. When the man leaves, he turns to Levertitia and he says that next time she won't get off so easily. The young lady sticks her tongue out at him, and he claims that he only knows how to talk because he still hasn't won her over. But at that very moment, the lady responsible for the budget turns to her and says that this also concerns Miss Levertish, the girl. After this is about to leave, and claims that Eveline, such an amazing thing, has put all the knights of the castle in order for a moment. But she has business now, so she will go. Well then, Eveline grabs the lady by her clothes and asks why she always ends up in the center of these conflicts. She also claims that it is important for the fulfillment of her mission, but that the lady should try not to disappoint His Majesty. Levertitia claims that she should tell him how Eveline takes care of him, and the whole country will prosper with so many loyal subjects. Eveline just tells the girl not to put powder in her eyes and just get down to business. And when she leaves, the main character wishes her luck. At the same moment, someone else turns to her and says that their similar conversation is over. The young lady understands that it is the Duke and wonders if he is hurt because they, the knights, have forgotten their duty a little. The guy asks where this politeness came from, to which the lady replies that he witnessed not the best spectacle and apologizes to him. Well, the young man asks what she is apologizing for, to which the lady replies that they almost dragged him into battle. The guy then asks her if she wants to apologize for anything else, and asks how about a bet about him. A little while later, the day of the banquet in the palace arrived. The aristocrats are talking among themselves, and the main character is standing near the entrance. Then Eveline addresses her, and he asks why the lady is sighing on such a good day, because yesterday she tore the Scarlet Knights to pieces, and she thought that she would be happy to be responsible for guarding the banquet hall. Levertitia replies that it was nice, but Kairos, Duke of Valtail, found out about their argument. The guy then asked if the girl was so kind to him only because of that, and in the end, even she used him. The young lady tried to object, but the guy only told her to forget, and he also didn't want to hear anything. After all, he himself made a stupid mistake when he believed her. Now the young lady sighs heavily, and the vice commander wonders who forced her to participate in this dispute. The girl says that it is true. It understands that the guy has enough scars as it is. So how can you trust a person who promised to help and bet on you? The girl asks if the guy suddenly doesn't want to see her anymore. But the vice commander asks if this is a problem, since with such success, the lady will have to kneel. The girl then says that it is, and she has already forgotten about it. But then he tells the knight to wait, because if she beats that guy and deprives him of his memory, then this can be avoided. However, at that very moment, Lady Eveline approaches her and says that then the commander will be left without a salary. Levertitia replies that she is ready to risk even her life to protect her. The woman then says that this is the lady's first official appearance in the role of commander, so let her correct the impression about herself. At that moment, another commander approaches her and says that she is chatting and enjoying life as usual. The main character wonders if he is asking for trouble again. The brunette claims that no matter how you look at her, failure awaits, so let her prepare to fall on her knees. Levertitia only says that she uses her fists if the ball is not allowed, but the brunette wonders if she has gone completely crazy and lacks discipline. But at that very moment, someone announces that His Majesty the Emperor has arrived, after which the guy enters the room and apologizes for keeping them waiting. He also claims that there are many acquaintances there whom he has not met for a long time. The two commanders immediately greet His Majesty, and he claims that they have done well, after which the guy sits down on the throne and states that he would like to thank everyone who has gathered today. He also says that this is not just a banquet, but a celebration in honor of the knights who led them to victory. So he asks to be allowed to present his faithful pair of wings. This is Sir Enzod Everett, who is the commander of the Scarlet Knights. The aristocrats immediately begin to whisper, "Is it really that same person next to His Majesty?" But he impresses not only with his abilities, but also with his appearance. His Majesty at this time introduces the main character, but there are negative rumors about her, and one of the noblewomen asks if this is the same crazy girl from the battlefield, and also why His Majesty entrusted the position of the first sword to such a person. The main character thinks that let them talk and see if the Duke has arrived yet. At this time the blonde says that Duke Valtail has not shown up, and he is even interested in how their bet will end. The main character says that rumors spread so quickly. The Emperor asks if she really dared to be distracted from her duty and engage in betting, because that is quite impudence. Levertitia replies that she thinks His Majesty is also a little happy about it. He, with a smile on his face, replies that it sounds fun, because the life of an emperor can be stifling, and one needs to have fun sometimes. Levertitia asks if he really wants to see her on her knees so much, and His Majesty asks if she is afraid of losing. The girl replies that it doesn't matter because a bet is a bet. At this time the guy says with a smile on his face that the 8-year-old brought the strongest knight of the empire to his knees, and he is interested in how everything will turn out. The girl understands that the banquet began some time ago, and it seems that the Duke will not come. But a few hours later, someone reports that Duke Valtail has arrived. The main character thinks that this can't be, after which the guy enters the room, and His Majesty greets him. The commander of the Scarlet Knights, seeing that he is not wearing a medallion, grins, and he claims that a similar victory in this dispute has come to him. The aristocrats at this time ask whether this is really the same heir of the Duke. One of them says that she doesn't care how young he is, but how could he be so late? His Majesty at this time greets the Duke and says that it seems that this is his first public appearance since receiving the title. Some people say that His Majesty is so merciful and has turned a blind eye to everything. One of the nobles asks if it is because of his age and asks how old the Duke is. The blonde at this time says that the previous Duke was a good man, and he relied on him a lot. But after using dark magic, there was no trace left of it, after which silence hung there. The young lady realizes that she knew the Emperor was always cruel to people who appeared in public for the first time. But isn't this too much? One of the nobles asks if it's true that the Duke has disappeared, and there were rumors that the dark magic was a hoax, because the Duke didn't want to meet the Duchess. One lady says she heard that the Duchess went into eternal sleep because of this, and what a pity it is. The main character thinks that these people also call themselves adults, after which she takes out her sword, and he thinks that it is impossible to listen to this nonsense and keep quiet. Then the young lady hits her ball on the floor, causing it to crack. The Duke is surprised by this, and one of the aristocrats says that this madwoman broke the ceremonial sword. The girl then apologizes to His Majesty and claims that she heard some kind of nasty noise in the sacred banquet hall. The man replies that he didn't know that she was capable of such a thing. The main character, looking at the Duke, understands that he looks surprised, and does he really think that this is also a pretense? But even if he hates her, she will always be on his side. After which the lady winks at him, as if telling him to act as usual. The guy then bows and says that he still can't replace his father, but he will try. After which he takes a pendant out of his pocket and says that he will keep this expensive gift from His Majesty to himself. Did bring the medallion after all. His Majesty also smiles and says that the boy looks like his father. He also claims that it was fun, and he will wait impatiently for the Duke's achievements. A little while later, the commander of the Scarlet Knights turns to the main character and says that she is lucky. He also doesn't know how she tricked the Duke, but the young lady interrupts him and tells him to focus on his subordinates instead of talking. After all, it's scary to trust them, even with the outer perimeter, and with such a stupid commander who lost a year's salary, even more so. The brunette then leaves, and the main character waves after him and tells him to go to the Scarlet Knights because they are probably shaking outside. At this point, someone turns to the young lady and asks if she has won. The girl then turns around and sees the Duke. He asks if Levertitia has anything to tell him, and the girl apologizes for agreeing to such a bet. After which, she says that she did not want to hurt him, and she is ashamed, but she still asks if the Duke could forgive her. The guy remains silent after this, but then still claims that he is asking her only this time. After all, she came to him and supported him, so he doesn't think that he will hate her because of one mistake. The main character looks at the guy with puppy dog eyes, and he claims that he helped her win the argument. So let the lady give him his share. Well, the main character claims that she has no money, after which the young man says that she will receive the salary of the Scarlet Knights. Levertitia replies that she will have to spend the money on repairing the ceremonial ball, as it is very expensive. The Duke then says that there is nothing to be done, and then they will come up with another solution. Levertitia asks what it is, and the guy claims that she will accompany him for 1 hour. But before he can finish speaking, ladies run up to the guy and greets him, and also offers to get acquainted and chat. Levertitia understands that he asks for protection from the children, but thinks what to do and whether to help her. At the same moment, Violetta also approaches the Duke and introduces herself, after which she asks if he has forgotten her. The guy asks if he could, after which the girl says that she is so happy. The young lady apologizes for last time and claims that she would like to invite him to her place, but the Duke replies that he does not think he has time. Violetta then asks if she should visit him, but the Duke asks in response if she is afraid of burning her hand again. The lady claims that she will forgive her boldness, but she will come to do it right. At this time, the Duke tells the lady that he did not allow her to call him by his name, which surprises the girl, and the main character understands that now he can handle this, and she is even interested in whether there will be a quarrel. At this point, someone else says that he didn't know they got along so well, and asks if they look good together. The main character wonders if he is saying that they look great, and this is not the case at all, after which she also says that they met the Duke again. The man then asks if Levertitia is doing well, and unfortunately, it looks like that. The girl replies that yes, she is doing well thanks to someone, but the man only tells her not to get close to Duke Valtine, and then adds that this is a warning. The main character says that he is not a parent to interfere in the life of a child, or, more precisely, a duke. But the man then says that who knows, soon he might become one, and the young lady wonders what that means. The man replies that in the near future, he will ask His Majesty for permission for the Duke and Violetta to marry. The main character is shocked and wonders if he is really talking about a wedding, and his plans are so obvious, but he still couldn't establish control over Kairos, so now he's going to absorb the entire Valtail family through marriage. The young lady then asks if he really thinks that His Majesty will listen to this request. The man replies that he is sure he will listen because he will ask her to do so, and the girl knows what kind of character His Majesty has. After all, he is a man with a strong will to live, but he has already reached his maximum, so the great families must unite, and all for the sake of His Majesty. The man also says that if the lady has no other ideas, she will not refuse this loyal vassal. Levertitia is only interested in whether he is a loyal vassal. But then she claims that if her memory serves her, several years ago, he served another prince, and it seems that it was the execution of a traitor, so it is good that the Duke escaped the same fate. The man then says that everything is in the past now, but thinks how dare the girl mention it. But soon this mad dog will not be able to talk like that. The Duke is among the girls at this time, and understands that this is why he asked Levertitia for an escort, and he wonders where she disappeared to. After which the guy sees Duke Everett and realizes that this is the first time he sees him so angry. Levertitia has done anything dangerous. At that moment, Violetta tries to appeal to the Duke again, but he only tells the girl to leave. The man at this time tells the young lady that it seems that the promotion to the commander of the knights has lifted her spirits, and he wonders if this place reminds her of a battlefield. The girl replies that there are not so many splashes of red liquid, but there is something in common. The man replies that she does, and asks how long His Majesty will remain by her side, and the girl replies that she thinks he will remain by her side until the end of the Duke's life. The man then asks if she understands what she is saying, and Kairos understands that this time he does not want to just sit and watch, after which he drops his glass and claims that he accidentally broke it, after which he also says that his clothes got dirty, and he turns to the young lady and tells her to go with him to the restroom. The main character asks if he is talking about her, and the guy asks who else, if not her, after which he suggests that she just follow him. The Duke watches the two leave at this time, but after that, he gets angry and also thinks how dare the guy do such a thing. When the main character ends up with Kairos in the restroom, the guy finally sighs. Levertitia wonders if he was really holding back his fear all this time. But when he first stopped the Duke, or he broke the glass and then gathered all his courage to save her, so now the main character thanks him for his help. After this, the guy just turns away and says that she also helped him, so he doesn't want to remain in debt. The main character claims that she understands, and then reaches out to pat the guy on the head. But the young lady remembers how the Duke said that he would receive permission for the wedding of Kairos and Violetta from His Majesty. She also thinks that the Duke was right, because it was a union of two large families. It will significantly strengthen the position of the emperor, and the empire will gather enormous power. But if Kairos marries her, the girl will no longer be able to protect him, and he will be a child who will still remain someone's tool. The girl also recalls how the emperor proposed that she marry the guy. At this time, the young man turns to her and asks if the girl is not going to stroke him. Levertitia. After that, she joyfully strokes the guy's head and asks if he really waited so much. The young man replies that it's not true and to pour out. The main character understands that she would never have thought that she would take that crazy proposal seriously. Kairos then turns to the young lady and hands her a box with a gift. The girl asks what it is and is it really a gift for her. The guy replies that it wasn't him, because the maids asked him to give this gift. The main character then thanks and claims that she will take it, and she is also interested in what the Duke gave her. When the young lady takes out the handkerchief, she is surprised, and the Duke wonders if she doesn't like it. The girl only wonders where he got the handkerchief from, after which the guy asks what she's talking about, and suggests that she just say it if she doesn't like it. Well, the girl replies that this is not the case, and asks whether he ordered this error or whether it was there from the beginning, and whether someone told him to give it to her. The guy realizes that this is the first time he sees the young lady in such confusion, after which he claims that it was an order from Baron Balast's store. He chose the embroidery from the options that the Baroness showed, and did not even know the name of the flower. Levertitia claims that this flower has the same name as hers, and of course, he could not know about it, because the kindest and warmest parents in the world created this fake flower especially for their little daughter. They had long since fallen into eternal sleep, and the girl had already managed to forget about it. But now she says that she is truly grateful to the guy. At this time, the young man thinks how strange it is, because this is not the first time he has seen Letty smile, but his heart has never beat so fast. The girl at this time remembers how her mother asked if Levertitia knew the name of this flower. The young lady answered her mother that she did not, after which the woman claimed that this flower is called Levertitia, and the little girl asked if this was true, because if so, then they have the same names. Levertitia then asked when she would be able to see this flower, because she really wanted it. But the woman replied that the girl would not be able to see this flower growing far to the north. The woman also said that it was nothing to worry about, because her beloved Levertitia was enough for her. Now the young lady remembers her mother, but still wonders how this flower ended up in Estelle's store. The guy replies that he heard from the Baroness that 10 years ago, a viscountess came to the store. She asked if they could make embroidery in the shape of this flower because it was a birthday present for her daughter. But the viscountess never came for him, and the guy accidentally saw the work that she was keeping, so he took it. The young man also wonders if it could be that the viscountess was the young lady's mother. But the girl claims that this is all strange, because her uncle said that they crashed at karate. When they returned with her gift, the young man was surprised and said that the viscountess had not taken her handkerchief. And the main character claims that it turns out that someone lied. At this time, someone in the underground gambling hall of the capital says that he is betting everything. It turns out to be Levertitia's uncle Wilfeld. The other players then give up, after which someone asks if the Baron has won again. The man just takes his chips and apologizes. Then she asks if they will put more this time. At the same moment, the main character presses the man to the table, and he says that the uncle won so much, so luck is definitely on his side. The man is surprised by this, and someone else at the table asks how the girl dares to do such a thing. Well, then one of them is surprised and asks if this is really the Emperor's sword, after which they get really scared. One of them leaves and says that it's none of his business, but the other asks if the guy is really scared of the woman and let him call security. Well, the girl claims that they were a little late with this song. All the security guards were already unconscious, after which people immediately started running. One of them says that there won't even be any bones left if a dog catches them. The young lady at this point turns to her uncle and says that they can now talk in silence. She also claims that her uncle lied to her, but the man says that this is not true and asks how she dares to do such a thing and whether she has already forgotten that she owes her. The girl asks if she really owes it, and he forgot who it is because of her that she is in debt. The young lady places a handkerchief on the table and asks him if this object is familiar to him. But this is a gift that her mother prepared 10 years ago. So it's all very strange. After all, the person who created it said that no one tried to take the scarf, and the uncle said that the carriage crashed when the parents were returning with the gift. The Baron then asks if she really made such a fuss just because of this, and the gift was probably not for her, but for Rudel. But the girl hugs her uncle tighter and says that no, she remembers everything clearly. They were late because they had traveled far, and he said that there had been a big accident because they were in a hurry and driving at night, and they also returned with her gift. The girl was little, so she decided that she was to blame for everything. To her, that her parents had fallen into eternal sleep because of her birthday, and at that moment she only had the fear that she and her brother were left alone in this world. Levertitia couldn't calm down, so she tried to conduct an investigation. But the Imperial investigator was put into eternal sleep by an unknown person, and all the evidence was damaged, and no trace remained, as if everything was planned. After which the young lady heads to the exit and says that there are inconsistencies in her parents' dives, so soon she will know the truth. The man only says what an ungrateful girl. He wonders if she knows who she attacked because he will make her regret it. Meanwhile, in the Everett duchy, a family sits at the table. The commander of the Scarlet Knights asks the father what happened to the Valte boy, but the man only asks what the guy is talking about. To which he replies that he is very careful and does not like the Imperial family. And didn't father say that he would not follow the Emperor's orders? But the result is different because he swore to follow the Emperor's will and bear the duty of the previous head of Valtail. Like a loyal mutt, the boy's sister is nervous at this time, and their father says that the plan was unsuccessful. After which the guy turns to his father and claims that this happens with every plan. After all, he speaks as if he is creating an impressive masterpiece, but in fact, it is an empty canvas. But the man only suggests to his son to stop talking nonsense, because the biggest drawback of this plan was himself. And he also hoped that the guy would be able to control the mad dog. But in the end, he couldn't even handle that. And the man says how useless he is. After all, it was not enough to lose the argument, and the Scarlet Knights were beaten by the Whites, and also lost the ability to guard the palace from the inside. The guy wants to justify himself, but the man claims that he heard that they even crossed swords, and his son could try and deal with this dog during a duel. The guy then asks if his father really wants to say that he should put this girl into eternal sleep. He replies that something similar to that, because he gave his son strength, power, and wealth. So why is he surpassed by a girl who has nothing? The guy then gets up from the table and says that he had lunch, after which he suggests that his father just wait, because one day he will definitely destroy him. Well, the man says what a weakling he is. Then he also turns to Violetta and asks how her lessons are going. The girl replies that everything is fine, because Madame Lonise praises her a lot. The man claims that in this sense, it is better not to trust her, and the girl is destined to be a duchess, so let her act more carefully and never become such a mistake. Violetta replies that she will do everything possible to become the perfect daughter, after which the man smiles and says that this is great, and also informs that after lunch they will go to the palace, and they will discuss the wedding with His Majesty. So let the girl behave with dignity, to which the young lady agrees. A little while later, they are already heading through the Imperial Palace, after which the lady notices Duke Valtail there and wonders what he is doing in the palace. At this time, the man tells Violetta that they need to go faster, to which the girl agrees. A little while later, they enter His Majesty's office and greet him. The blonde tells the Duke that they haven't seen each other for a long time, and asks what brought him here. The man replies that he has a small request for His Majesty, after which the guy invites him to speak. The man claims that Duke Valtail recently inherited the duchy, but he is too young, so he is worried. After which, he also asks if His Majesty can help with the wedding between him and his daughter. The Duke may not understand the reason, so he asks His Majesty to help them arrange everything. But the blonde says that the Duke is a little late, because this permission has already taken Miss Levertish. A little while ago, the Duke approached His Majesty and claimed that Levertitia had told him everything. And also, His Majesty wants them to get married, to which the guy replies, state correctly, and also says that he hopes that the Duke and the First Sword will become his support. The youth then tells His Majesty that he is very young, but remains the head of the duchy, so his opinion in such a matter should not be taken into account. The Emperor says he is sorry, but asks if the boy did not come to agree. The young man only asks what will happen if he refuses, after which the Emperor replies that it is obvious. After all, if he doesn't choose Levertitia, who will become Lady Violetta's husband, Everett? The guy is shocked by this, and the Emperor asks if this is unexpected, because he and the Duke are quite close, and you shouldn't underestimate his ambitions, otherwise you'll be eaten in an instant. He is the kind of person who will do anything to achieve his goal. The guy then tries to object, but the main character says that the Emperor is right. After all, she heard personally from the Duke that he was going to marry Violetta to him. The young man is surprised after this, and the main character says that if he offers his daughter's hand, they will have no reason to refuse. The Everetts will begin to insist that the boy is too young to rule the duchy, and he will press on the fact that the Valtail family remains one of the main pillars of the empire. The girl also says that she understands how awkward it is and asks for forgiveness, that it is a burden, but the only way to protect him is to become one family. After which the main character asks if Kairos will marry her. The young man only becomes embarrassed, and he says that he is too small, but they must protect the Valtail clan. The Emperor at this time says what a good couple they are, but the young lady suggests that he not say such strange things. The blonde man claims that he will prepare the wedding seal, but asks to be allowed to cut the cake. The girl says that there will be no celebration because they will simply take vows, after which she also says that Duke Everett will learn this news when it is too late. And she even wonders what expression will appear on his face. The man at this time angrily remembers this girl. As soon as the emperor gave permission for the marriage, he and the duke went to a pre-prepared church for a minimal ceremony. The girl heading in the carriage thinks that a union without the blessing of a priest is considered invalid, and that this is why there is so much trouble. The young lady also turns to Kairos and says that it is more fun than she thought. The guy asks what exactly the young lady notes that she is talking about, the wedding fuss. But the boy asks where is the fun, because they do almost nothing. And they move unnoticed by people, and there are no guests, confetti, congratulations, or a banquet. And even in a wedding dress, that's why the guy asks if the girl is sure that she agrees with this. Levertitia replies that there is no rule that requires her to wear a dress, and that she has a white uniform, so it will do. The guy claims that he considered the engagement and wedding to be a grand event. Well, the girl says that it is enough that they will become a family, even if it is temporary, but they will be together, so she will protect him. The young man then looks away and says that she promised Levertitia, replies that of course, and wants to know if he wants to swear on his little fingers. The guy holds out his little finger, and they swear. He also says that only Levertitia could offer him such a thing, but the girl replies that he likes it. But at that very moment, he turns around and says that it seems the promise will have to be fulfilled sooner than they thought. At that moment, the carriage begins to fall, and the young man asks what is happening, but the main character tells him not to worry because everything is fine. And she guessed that they would try to interrupt the wedding at that moment. Then the lady gets out of the carriage and says that there are about 20 people there, and it will be problematic because the bride and groom cannot be late for the ceremony. A little while later, the main character has already dealt with the last one and says that she hoped to have fun, but everything turned out to be boring. The carriage is damaged, so they will ride the rest of the way, but when the young lady turns to the Duke, she sees that he is very scared and asks what happened. The guy at this time says that they tried to put him into eternal sleep, but he couldn't even move in front of and with the aspens that came for him. So if the lady hadn't protected him, and if he had been alone, then he would have already come to an end. Well, at that very moment, the main character grabs the guy and tells him to get ready because she explained before leaving that Duke Everett would do everything to stop them. Although she didn't think there would be so many assassins because he was completely desperate. The young lady also says that the boy has nothing to fear because he will always be the head of the Valtail family, no matter what anyone says. And his wife is the strongest knight in the world. So let the guy just show what will happen to those who dare to disgrace him. And he will also make it so that they never want to challenge him, to which the young man agrees. As they move on, the guy claims that he will forgive Letty if she wants to take something. The girl then asks what he is talking about, since the spouses already share the same fate. A short time later, they enter the church, and the young lady claims that the groom is Kairos Valtail, and the bride is Levertish Selzer has arrived. The man sees a red liquid on her clothes and asks if they are okay, but the girl replies that it is nothing serious and asks if the recording device is ready, to which the man replies that it is, and the lady suggests to start this boring ceremony. The man asks if she says that this ceremony is boring, and it is a grace, so they should observe the order of the oath before God. The girl says that it is clear and it is necessary to do it quickly. After all, problematic guests are approaching them. And if they drag it out, then there will be no one to marry, which is why the man gets scared, and then says that the groom, Valtail, and the bride Selzer swear before God that they will become a sacred couple. Let them always think of each other. The Duke at this time turns to the young lady, and the girl asks if he is afraid, and also whether to take his hand. Well, the young man just tells her to lean towards him a little. The main character does so, and then asks if that's right. And the guy says that it's great, and then takes her face in his hands. Levertitia wonders what he's trying to do, And when the priest says that this oath is so that they may value and love each other, the Duke and Bobby kiss the young lady on the forehead. He says that he can be patient for her a little bit, and the main character smiles and thinks how sweet it is, after which the priest announces that the couple has taken their marriage vows. But at that very moment, another duke bursts into the church and screams for Levertitia to stop immediately. The girl says that she did not expect the personal presence of Duke Everett, but he was late again because their marriage was already secured by an oath. But the man asks if this is a problem, because it can easily be cancelled if the lady is not there. The girl then asks first to allow it to be said that His Majesty the Emperor was a witness to the ceremony, and he wonders if they want to get charged with putting the Duke and Duchess to sleep forever. The Duke then says that this is a damn recording, but then he asks if she seriously brought a child there who is 13 years younger, and she really is disgusting. He also turns to the boy and asks what about him. He warned him and told him to stay put, so how dare he do something like that? And it is not surprising that his father abandoned him. And his mother. The main character is about to answer something, but the young man at the same moment claims that he abandoned him or not. But the words of such a person are worth nothing. The man then wonders what such a person means, and how dares he lower him to his level. But the boy asks, what does it mean to lower, because they are both dukes, or for him, he has no manners left. The guy also claims that he is not his child, nor a candidate for his daughter's husband, nor a dog. Therefore, he will not brainwash him anymore, after which the man is surprised and wants to say something else. But the young lady says that this is good, and if there are no wedding presents, then let him get out of the way, and does not stand in the way of the newlyweds. A little while later, someone on the street gives out fresh and urgent news that Duke Kairos Voltol is married, and that his bride is 13 years older than him. He also reports that Kairos Voltol has made a 100-year dinner with Levertitia Seltzer. One of the people asks if this is a joke, and if he has entered into an alliance with that very Levertitia, and this can't be. So does he really not know the rumors? Another man claims that he thought that the guy would marry a noblewoman from the Everett family. So how could this couple have come about? At this time, the main character wakes up in the Duke's estate and says that she slept so well. The girl realizes that she ended up in the Duke's estate after they took their vows, and now they will have to play the roles of the Duke and Duchess because it is easier to protect him. The girl also doesn't remember well what happened after their return, because she immediately lay down on the bed and said that she would shudder a little, but the girl still thinks that it's good that she took a week off in advance. And she thinks she's a little tired because she had a lot of things to take care of. She hasn't had a proper rest for a long time, and this time it was like she'd slept for 3 days. At this point, someone else approaches the mods and says that she is awake. It turns out to be a maid named Jessie. She claims that she will have Madame's personal maid, and she also hopes that Madame will be comfortable with her. The main character asks if she is really a madam, and understands that such an address is appropriate for a duchess, but it is too awkward. The maid at this time asks Madame if she is preparing food for them, but the girl only asks if Jessie can call her by her first name instead of Madame, after which the maid with a smile on her face says that it is fine and addresses her as Miss Levertish. The girl realizes that she has been surrounded by serious people all the time, men, and it is so unusual for her to see a sweet girl. The maid at this time says that she is glad that the mistress woke up, and the Duke was worried because she hadn't gotten up for several days. The main character understands that it always takes a couple of days to restore energy, although Kairos might be surprised because he sees this for the first time. The maid at this time claims that the doctor said that the lady was sleeping due to accumulated fatigue, but the Duke still walked around the room anxiously for 3 days. Levertitia in his mind to wake up quickly because she promised that she would always be with him. The young lady is now asking if he had really been there for 3 days. Then she claims that she needs to see Kairos and at least thank him. But the maid tells the lady to wait a second. and he wonders if she's really going to go straight from the bed. Levertitia asks what's wrong with that since she always walks like that in the knight's quarters. Jessie says that Lady Levertitia is no longer there, and she will help her change her clothes. But the main characters only ask what she is talking about. The girl claims that everything is fine, but the maid asks the lady not to worry and claims that there are not enough outfits, but she tried to find things in her size, so let her not refuse. The main character only thinks when the girl managed to find out her size, after which she jumps out of the window and says that she doesn't want to. A little while later, the maid writes to her mother whether she told her that she has a new mistress. The Duchess is kind but very unusual, and sometimes she jumps out of the window. She seems to do this more often when they try to serve her. And when she approached the Duke about this, he only told the girl to simply leave her alone. The maid also thinks that maybe the lady is embarrassed, and it would be better for her to restrain herself. The girl also thinks about what kind of relationship she has with the Duke, because it does not look like a loving atmosphere between newlyweds, but they resemble a family. The main character at this time turns to Kairos and asks whether he should cut the meat. The guy answers no, but the young lady asks why he is arguing. He hasn't even finished his soup. The young man claims that he can't eat a mountain of food like him, and the lady asks how he is going to grow up, to which the guy simply suggests that she stop bothering him. Levertitia shoves a bun into his mouth and tells him that the guy needs a balanced diet to be healthy, and he needs vegetables as well as meat. The chef and the butler, at this time almost in tears, watch the Duke and say that he eats right. As for the Duchess, she personally handles the finances of the mansion. One day, the young lady handed the maid the financial records of the duchy, and also claimed that she checked everything, and they have several money leaks, so these places are visible. The maid asked if the lady checked everything herself, to which she replied that everything was well described, so there were no problems. Some places in this house need to be repaired, and the lady even trains with the knights of the duchy. One day, she fights with one of them and tells him to raise his hands higher. The lady also claims that she will definitely teach them everything, so let them listen carefully, to which they agree and call her madam. But the main character only says that they should not call her that. The maid, watching all this, understands that since they had a duchess, the duchy seems to come alive, so it seems like she is just perfect, and the maid claims that she is so happy to work there. A little while later, the main character approaches her and claims that she is hungry, after which she offers Jessie something to eat, to which the maid agrees. And after that, he also hands the letter to the lady and claims that she was asked to give it to her because it seems that this letter is urgent. The main character takes this envelope in her hands and realizes that it does not look like a letter from the knights or the palace, after which she wonders if this is really a report with information. But she asked to investigate her uncle's past. But then the main character is shocked because she sees that it says that her uncle has disappeared without a trace. He often spent time alone, so his absence was not immediately noticed, but he disappeared without a trace. The Imperial Investigation Agency began an investigation after the maid's appeal. When the main character enters this room of her uncle, she realizes that the room is in order, but if someone had broken in and tried to kidnap him, there would have been traces of resistance. After which the girl also sees something else and thinks that this is really a cartridge case, but these traces of shots were not found. When the girl picks up the thing, she realizes that there is a blue rose on it and thinks that only one group from this continent uses such a mark. These are dark magicians, and the main character understands that these bastards were there. The girl also thinks that dark magicians are the creation of life, resurrection, immortality, and complete destruction, and even time magic. They were people who could use seemingly impossible magic, and their intentions to overcome these limitations were noble, but inhumane experiments for the sake of research led to dark magic being banned everywhere. However, the dark magicians did not disappear anywhere because they hid and constantly expanded their influence. The previous Duke of Voltaire was destroyed by the dark mages who hid among the allied forces right before her eyes. Now the young lady realizes that she remembered, and it is the magic item they used on the commander that is the annihilation bullet. Those pierced by it disappear, and it absorbs even sound, so the target disappears without any traces, and the cartridge case from it was lying in the uncle's room. He was not kidnapped, but it was annihilation. But the girl also thinks why they did it because her uncle was a pathetic person. So how could he get involved with this serious organization? And all he did was gamble. But then the young lady suddenly realizes that when she mentioned her parents' eternal sleep, he said something strange. He asked if the lady knew who she had attacked, and he would make her regret it. So the girl wondered if her parents' eternal sleep had been an accident, and somehow an organization of dark magicians is involved in this. After which the young lady realizes that she needs to conduct an investigation. A few days later, the girl finds herself in the palace, and the emperor claims that they are on the trail of dark magicians who have not shown up for a long time. The main character understands that they hid it so well that they didn't even know where to start looking, but now they're starting to stir. After which she claims that she is leaving immediately, but the emperor asks her to calm down a little and listen first, after which the girl agrees and says that she is listening, but after that she sets off. The emperor says how insane she is and claims that in the depths of the continent, a lake was discovered that does not melt, and it was suspicious, so the investigation helped to discover traces of dark magicians. Levertitia asks if this is some kind of new experiment, to which His Majesty replies that it is most likely, but the most important thing is that they found traces of non-single mages there, because it looks more like a whole group. Experiment or not, they are definitely planning something serious. The emperor also says that he doesn't even know what it could be, but the young lady says that it doesn't matter, because this time they will pay for everything. The blonde then says that, to be honest, her lack of control scares him more than these magicians. After which, he asks why the girl is so hot-tempered today. Levertitia understands that she cannot yet tell that her parents' immersion in eternal sleep may be connected with dark magicians. The main character then says that these are the enemies of the Empire who have put her commander into eternal sleep, and it is difficult for her to contain her anger even at the thought. Therefore, she will begin preparations immediately, if the emperor allows, after which he agrees, and says that the lady can advance. When the girl goes further, someone turns to her, and the main character asks if it is Evelyn. The blonde claims she has a private conversation, and then says she heard the defense has gone missing, and the lady's huge debt will be frozen until the disappearance case is resolved. According to the laws of the Empire, debt payments cease at the moment of the disappearance of the creditor, and the person is considered to be immersed in eternal sleep. If 10 years have passed since the disappearance, so the lady will not have to worry about debts until Byron returns. But in 10 years, the debts will go to relatives. Levertitia answers that nothing is not enough in time, after which she thanks Evelyn and says that she did not even think about it, after which she wonders if the girl really loves her so much. Well, the blonde claims that this is not all, because after this task, the girl will get a long-term vacation, so let her rest, at least for a year. Levertitia says how sudden this is, and asks why, because Evelyn is also a workaholic, after which the woman gets angry and asks, does the girl really want to say that they are similar? And she always rushes to dangerous tasks like a moth to a flame. And as soon as she heard dark magicians, she immediately leaves. So since her debts are on hold, let her devote a little time to other things. And first of all, she is no longer alone, because she has a family. A little while later, when the main character is eating, she understands that Evelyn is right, because she is no longer alone. So this cannot continue, but she cannot refuse this mission. At this time, the Duke asks if Levertitia has any problems, and he answers that no, and that it's nothing. The guy asks if it's true, but then says that she didn't touch the food, and the guy asks if the lady can't see how desperate the chef is. The man then asks with tears in his eyes if everything is really that badly cooked, and the young lady replies that it's not that, and she just leaves soon on a mission. The guy is surprised after that and asks what she is talking about, and the young lady answers that it is the capture of dark magicians, and it will not be very dangerous, so she will return quickly. But the young man answers that he does not believe her. After all, he had never seen anyone who could keep such a promise, and his father and mother also said that they would be there. But in the end, he was left alone. So the boy asks what will happen if she disappears too, after which he leaves the table altogether, and the young lady asks him to wait and thinks that he recently lost his parents, so she was too careless, and there is time before leaving, so they will need to talk again. But the girl was busy preparing, and Kairos was a duke, and the conversation never took place, but the time had come. The maid and the chef bid farewell to the lady and ask her to return safe and sound. The man says that he has prepared dinner for Madame and asks her to take it with her, and it breaks his heart to think that the lady will eat bad food. The maid hugs her mistress and tells her not to get even a scratch. Levertitia realizes that she has only been there for a month. They have become so attached and then thanks them. But then she looks at the Duke's office and wonders if he won't see her off. But she thought that they would at least exchange a few words. At this time, the vice captain turns to the commander and says that they are a couple, to which the young lady agrees and says that they can leave. But at that very moment, someone screams her name, and the main character realizes that she knows this voice. It turns out to be the Duke, and he immediately hugs the young lady and also apologizes and says that he was so stubborn because she is leaving not because of what she wants. The main character says that nothing and understands that the guy needed time alone to think everything over. The guy then says that the other Duke does not scare him anymore, but he is afraid that Levertitia will disappear. The main character wipes away his tears and says that she will not disappear. And today, for the first time, he resembles a child. The guys claim that he wants to grow up faster and follow her. And then the young lady offers him to eat more while she is gone, and also promises that he will eat well, sleep well, and exercise. The young man, with a smile on his face, promises and claims that Levertitia should return quickly. At this time, the dark magicians report that the preparations are complete, and if everything goes according to plan, then they have created measures for the dark magicians. At this time, the main character asks if everyone is ready and tells them to check that all weapons are sharp, and even arrowheads because they are leaving soon. Well then, one of the knights tells the commander that they are the problem, because the commander of the Scarlet Knights is also there. A little while later, the main character asks if it really turns out that by order of the Emperor, he will participate in this mission, after which the man only remains silent. And then he replies that yes, and such is the order of the commander of the Scarlet Knights. The young lady thinks what kind of emperor is coming, and as if the clash with the dark magicians was not enough for her. But now she will have to go with a guy who constantly causes conflicts, after which the young lady says that this is the mission of the White Knights, and she cannot agree, even after the words of the emperor. So now he will file an official complaint because he will only interfere. But the brunette then turns to Levertish and asks to let him join because he has something to do. The girl says that it is not her problem and wonders if she can trust him after what he did last time. The man then claims that she does not need to trust him because he swears that he will not create problems on this mission. And this is a sincere request, so he begs her. The main character then, in shock, thinks what is wrong with him, and is the proud commander of the Scarlet Knights really bowing, and is this really a dream? The vice captain of the White Knights asks the young lady if he has really gone completely crazy, and does not tell the main game that it looks like it. She also understands that it is so important that the guy bows his head and leaves without his knights. She also wants to refuse, but in the future he may take out his anger on Kairos. Then the young lady agrees and tells him to understand her correctly because she doesn't like him. but the mission is so dangerous that any free hands will come in handy. The brunette then only tells the girl to simply say that she doesn't need him, because the rest of the comments are unnecessary. After which the young lady states that on this mission he will be a subordinate and not with the Duke's son or a commander, and if he disobeys the order, he will go back. The man says that is fine and he will remember. The main character asks if he is sure, but he only says that she should not make him repeat it. And then the lady claims that she expects a formal speech from him. Again, his insolence violates discipline, and the former commander must understand this. She also tells the guy to answer, and he says that it is good, and he understood. The young lady asks again what he said, to which he replies that he listens. The girl wonders if he really did it, but she thought that his pride would not allow him to. Now she also understands that the problem with dark magicians has been added to another headache. A little while later, they find themselves in the forest, and the vice captain asks if the commander of the Scarlet Knights has caused any problems. The girl replies that he clearly doesn't want to use any formal speech yet, so he remains silent. At the same moment, someone else turns to the commander and claims that there are reports from intelligence that the enemy has been detected. The girl says that this is excellent, after which she tells everyone to stand in their places, and as they know they came to destroy the enemies. So, while she's busy with the base, under the lake, Barton will block the forest path and catch those who are running away. After all, no one should run away, so let them not leave the position to which they agree. The young lady immediately cries out that they are moving out. As the knights head to their positions, the young lady turns to the vice captain. He asks what is going on, after which the girl says nothing and offers him to return alive. Barton says, "What kind of sentimentality is this?" And the commander does not look like herself. The young lady then just nods and says that she just felt like saying it. After which the vice captain says that he is not worried about her, but that the lady should be careful, and the girl replies that she will. At this time, the brunette watches the young lady and then heads off somewhere himself. A little while later, the main character is already near the base. Hey, someone screams that they are retreating into the opening, and also let others beware of magic bullets. The girl understands that His Majesty warned that the group was large, but she did not expect to see such a huge base. If they were ready to attack, they would have a hard time, so we need to deal with them all before they recover. The young lady also understands that it would be easier with Barton, but he is already busy outside, so nothing can be done. After all, no one should run away. The lady also understands that from the disappearance of her uncle to the raid on the base, everything is going well, and maybe she really needs a vacation. After which the main character thinks what she should do, because she can visit Rudel, since her uncle is not there, and deal with Duke Everett so that Kairos is no longer in danger, and then find a more suitable match. A girl who would be his age, quiet and sweet. Maybe she should also try growing flowers, and red ones would be great. A little while later, the young lady says that it looks like they are almost done. She also thinks that someone might be hiding in the base. But looking at her colleagues, she wonders if she is the only one left on her feet. But if so, then there is no choice, and she will have to go herself. At this time, someone screams that this is unfair, because that was not the plan, after which he asks where these changes came from. The girl understands that this is a dark magician, and does not understand who he is talking to, after which she sees him all the time. The commander of the Scarlet Knights, who says that it was her father's plan, not his, and the main character is shocked and thinks why the guy is communicating with the dark magician. Dark magician asks the master if it is possible to show such irresponsibility, and the young lady thinks how this guy got involved with dark magicians. At this time, the stranger claims that the gentleman did say to follow Duke Everett's plan, and the main character is shocked and thinks about what they are talking about. And did this guy really volunteer for this mission, just to meet with the magicians? She had hoped that he would understand the responsibility of being the commander of the knights and remain loyal to the empire, but this guy was a traitor. At this time, the man wonders, since when he and his father are one and the same person. But then Mac turns to the gentleman and tries to object. At the same moment, the main character waves her ball and claims that this is enough for Enzo. Everett had better clarify the situation, and if there is any justification for connections with dark magicians, then let him speak. The girl also wonders how he can call himself a knight of the Empire after this, but the man only remains silent and understands that everything has become too confusing. He also claims that the lady will find it hard to believe, however he tried to stop them. But at that moment, he sees the ceiling start to crack and claims that they need to get out of there so they will talk outside. But the young lady asks him what he is talking about, and if he is going to get out of this in such a stupid way. However, at that very moment, a pile of stones falls on her. A little while later, the lady opens her eyes and wonders where they are, but she discovered the connection between Enzod and the dark magicians, after which the ceiling collapsed, and the lady thought that she would fall into eternal sleep. Well, she still thinks why they are still alive. The girl also understands that this place is strange, and there was a collapse under the lake, but she does not see any debris. It's more like an endless space where time has warped, and she has been lying unconscious for a long time, but she doesn't feel any hunger or anything else. And the young lady wonders if this is some kind of space created by magicians. She also understands that the traitor may know something, and she feels like hours or days have passed, but he only breathes without opening his eyes. His condition has not changed at all, and perhaps this dark magic is related to time. But the problem is that she does not see a way out. Her knights are okay. His Majesty did not know about Duke Everett's connection with the dark magicians, and the White Knights are probably looking for her. And she promised Kai that she would return quickly, but now she claims that there is no point in this, and wonders if she will really remain in this trap forever. And also, what will happen to her brother and Kairos? Well, at that very moment, the lady hears some kind of scream. They understand that it comes from her back. After which, the lady sees a lizard and wonders if another living creature is in this space. The girl asks where the lizard came from, but it only squeaks pitifully. The lady wonders if it hurt him when she lay on top and apologizes. She also tells him not to cry, but she wonders who could have guessed that the Duke's handkerchief would be useful for such a thing. The girl also thinks where this lizard came from because she did not feel any presence, and if he came from outside, then that's good. After which the young lady turns to her boyfriend and asks if he knows how to get out of there. But when the lizard makes a sound, the girl realizes that it seems she didn't understand anything. At the same moment, the lizard jumps out of her hands and then shows the way their main character wonders if he really understood. After which, she also lifts the brunette and asks the lizard to wait a second. She understands that she does not want to take this guy, but will return to punish him, after which she suggests going together. The lady also wonders what to call the lizard. The note still writes, and the nth lady says that maybe it is worth calling him Blackie because he is black. A little while later, the girl already sees the light and understands that it seems to be coming from outside. But in this case, she thanks the lizard for his help and understands that now it is her turn because she found a way out. At this time in the Duke of Valtail's estate, someone turns to his lordship and asks if he will go to the lake again, because he heard that after the destruction of the dark magician's base and the disappearance of the madam, everything was turned upside down. The knights even dug but found no traces, and he thinks it's better to stop searching since 10 years have passed. 10 years ago, the guy realized that there was no news from Levertishi for a whole week. One of the servants told the Duke that it was cold outside, and Madame would worry if he caught a cold. She will soon return victorious, so he offers to wait inside, to which the guy agrees. But a little while later, he saw the White Knights of Levertishi and wondered if they had returned, after which he immediately ran up the stairs and thought why the hell they didn't even warn him, and he needed to scold the girl and also cook his favorite dishes. But when the boy approached the knights and asked where Levertitia was, the vice commander apologized to the Duke and he claimed that when they were fighting the dark mages, she disappeared. They gathered the Imperial Knights to search, but so far they have found no traces and think that she may have fallen into some kind of trap. The guy understood and thought that this couldn't be true because the girl had given him a promise and said that she would definitely come back and protect him, so she couldn't leave him. And he thinks that the girl will definitely return. After that, the guy began his own search and understood that if dark magic got into her, then she could be leaning somewhere without memory. He ordered posters to be hung all over the duchy, and they looked for traces of dark magicians. But a year passed, and then two, and the girl was still not found. Due to the beginning of an active search, it became obvious to everyone that the commanders of the Imperial Knights had disappeared. The criminals, including dark magicians, began to run rampant, and the guy wondered if Levertitia had really fallen into eternal sleep, but she couldn't just do that. And even though she is late, he will forgive her. So let the girl come back quickly and show her shameless smile. Now he is strong enough to protect her. A little while later, the guy enters his office. But then someone turns to him and says that he has received a letter from Marquis Brad. The young man asks what he wants, after which he reads a letter in which it is written that he heard that the Duke recently saved his precious daughter and he would like to invite him to dinner next week as a token of gratitude, and he can also look at someone instead of the former Duchess. The guy then tears up the letter and tells the servant to give it to the Marquis, that he will come only with his wife's permission, after which he also turns around and is about to leave somewhere, but the servant tells the Duke that he has just returned and wonders where he is going at such an hour. The man replies that he will be late, so the boy may not wait for him. He also realizes that 10 years have passed since Levertitia's disappearance. In the Empire, after such a line, the missing person is considered to have fallen into eternal sleep. Well, the guy understands that he cannot accept this, after which everyone sees how the space in front of him cracks, and there he sees Levertitia, who says that she finally got out. The Duke immediately goes to her and asks what happened, but the lady just faints. A little while later, the girl opens her eyes and wonders where she is, but then realizes that there is a rather familiar ceiling. When the main character gets up, she is surprised because she sees that she is chained. The girl also thinks whether this is again the work of dark magicians, but at the same moment someone says that she may not try, because these are special shackles that will hold even a dragon. The main character understands that it is the Duke, and the guy wonders what the dark magicians have come up with this time. And the girl understands that this cannot be. The guy is just wondering why she has the same face, and the main character is wondering if her commander has come back to life. The young man also asks if these dark magicians have learned to clone people, or if this is resurrection magic. The main character thinks that this guy is different from her commander because his face and hair color are similar, but he is a different person. And this impudent character reminds her of the Duke, after which the young lady asks if this is really Kai. But then she claims that this can't be because her husband is much smaller and nicer. The guy just gets embarrassed and asks what she's talking about, after which he turns around and says that she's such a stupid girl that there's no point in messing around with her. But the young lady cries out for him to wait and let him remove the shackles first. The guy leaves the room and realizes that this girl definitely called him Kai. He also recalls how the maid claimed that they changed the clothes of the girl that the master brought, and it was the uniform of the White Knights. And this scarf reminds her. Well, the guy then tells the maid not to say anything, because he will figure it out himself. Now he wants to believe that this is true, but for now he can't be sure, because the girl knows what kind of flower it is. The main character is in the room at this time, and says that she is annoyed that the shackles are so strong, but she was stuck there for 3 whole days. The place looks like Duke Valtail's mansion, but she doesn't know what happened to Kairos or who this man is. It is impossible to talk to people because they only bring food, and the main character thinks that maybe this is some new trap of dark magicians. Well, if this is really the Duke's mansion, then she should meet some acquaintances. At that moment, the maid enters the room, and he turns to Madame. But the main character only asks who she is and why she calls her Madame. The maid asks if the mistress doesn't recognize her, after which she claims that she is Jessie, and the girl immediately jumps on her mistress with hugs. The young lady realizes that Jessie was much younger, and the maid tells the mistress that she missed her and asks if she can even imagine how they worried, because everyone thought that she had fallen into eternal sleep. Levertitia wonders if she really has memory problems because of magic. After which, she wonders where Kairos is, if this is the Duke's mansion. The maid only asks the mistress what she is talking about, but she claims that she has not seen him. Jessie says that the Duke brought the lady there and visited her 3 days ago, after which the girl wonders if it was Kairos, and the young lady thinks that this is not funny at all. And the maid claims that, of course, the Duke never stopped looking for the lady for all 10 years. The main character, shocked, asks if she is really talking about 10 years. Almays Liak adds that it seemed to her that only a few days had passed. But now she understands why everything seems so strange, and anyone would be wary if a missing person showed up in 10 years. But then the main character thinks what happened to her brother and then says that she needs to meet Kairos. The maid immediately says that she will bring him then. But the young lady claims that she will go herself. However, at the same moment she is held back by shackles, and the girl furiously asks why they were put on her. The maid then turns to the mistress in shock and says that she will destroy the mansion. Well, then suddenly she hears some familiar squeak, and it turns out to be a lizard with a key. The main character then asks if this is really the Black One, but she was wondering where he went. After which the girl thanks him for his help and understands that she can't just sit and wait. Then the main character opens the doors, but thinks where to look for the Duke. However, when she looks at the furnishings in the mansion, she is shocked because there are many pink flowers there. She also says that they have white petals and pink stamens, but still asks how they can exist. The guy replies that it's because they were created using dark magic, and the main character, turning to him, wonders if this is Kairos. The guy claims that the magicians went crazy when she disappeared, and he had to hunt them. He made each one an offer that they would be spared if they perfectly copied the flower he asked them to create. After which the guy hands this flower to the young lady and asks if she knows its name. The girl replies that she cannot name it because it is Levertitia, and her parents came up with it for her. The girl understands that only her family, her parents, and her brother knew about this flower. And one more thing, her little husband. So now the main character asks if it really is Kai. The guy then happily asks if Levertitia recognized him, to which the girl replies that she finds it hard to believe that he has grown so much. The main character also asks if he knows what happened to Rudel and the Selzer family. But after this, the Duke asks if someone else is really important to her, and that the girl should think better about the person's feelings, the one she abandoned. The young lady is surprised by this, and the guy is only interested in where Letty is going to run. After all, she has to stay with him. The girl understands that this guy has grown up somehow wrong. At this time, the young man burns the flowers and claims that these fakes are no longer needed. The main character thinks why he suddenly caused the fire and then turns to the guy. But he only claims that he will not let her leave, and the young lady understands that he is not listening to her at all. But they will have problems if this is not fixed, so it is not too late yet. Then the girl hits him with her forehead and tells him to stop talking nonsense and to pull himself together. The guy then asks in shock what she did, and the young lady understands that he came to his senses, after which she says that she understands that Kairos was worried about her, but it is wrong to tie people up, neglect them, and also collect mountains of flowers. The girl wonders what his people will think if he behaves like a madman. Well, after this, the young man asks if she is really grumbling at him, after which the girl screams that she hasn't even started yet. She also asks why the guy is so impudent, because she didn't raise him like that. Levertitia could do this, so now he understands and is glad to hear even her grumbling. The Duke then claims that Levertisha has not changed at all, even in 10 years. And frankly speaking, he did not believe it, and it also seemed to him that the girl simply lived in another place and accidentally came across him. The main character asks what he is talking about, after which the Duke says that he believed more that she left him because she did not love him than that she fell into eternal sleep, because a wedding with a child is a huge shame, so she ran away to where he would not find her. The girl replies that this is nonsense, because everything is not like that at all, and the guy claims that he knows that she would not have done this, but over 10 years he had heard a lot of different gossip and was afraid to show it to her because they could be true. Levertisha claims that she promised to protect him and that this will not change, after which she even apologizes for making him wait because it was probably hard for the guy. The young man then asks if the lady is comforting him and takes her hand in his, after which he says that the girl should then stroke his head, and the main character is a little surprised and also understands that now he is taller than her. The Duke asks if she will bend over to him, after which he does so, and the young lady wonders why he has grown so big. The guy also offers her to tell him how she chewed, because he wants to hear everything, after which the young lady thinks a little, and she tells Kairos what happened, how she was chasing the mages and got trapped in space and time, and she found a way out only after 10 years. But the girl also asks how long she should do this. A child recently, and grew up so quickly, so it's awkward because it's as if she's reprimanding a stranger. The Duke at this time tells her to continue because he is in pain from her headbutt. Well, the girl then says that who would talk after all? What did he eat to become so strong? After which the guy asks her to let him have a look, and the main character shows him her forehead and also asks if he sees it because it turns redder than the guy's forehead. The Duke then only kisses her on the forehead, after which the young lady is surprised, and the guy asks, "What is this?" because at the wedding she laughed and said how cute it was. The girl claims that he was a child, then after which the young man asks what the difference is, and the young lady claims that now he is an adult and he is 18. But the guy crosses his arms over his chest and says that he is only 18 and he is still young. The young lady then claims that she definitely made some mistake and the guy was nicer before. At this time, the young man says that 10 years is a long time, and a lot has happened during this time. Levertisha asks what exactly, and the guy claims that he doesn't even know where to start. The conversation will be long. First, he decides to tell her what she asked, and claims that the Selzer family is fine, as is her brother. The main character says what a relief it is, but the guy claims that there is no more good news. And the girl asks if some kind of war has really started. The Duke replies that almost when the commander of the knights, who were the support of the country, disappeared, all the criminals began to behave as if the world belonged to them. The dark mages took advantage of the opportunity to grow in power, and the entire empire was plunged into chaos. Many innocent people lost their lives, and now the girl says that if she had dealt with them, this situation could have been avoided. After which, she, clenching her fists, claims that it is hers guilt. But the Duke replies that this is not true because no one could have predicted this. And if you need to blame someone, then it's the dark magicians who arranged everything, because it was they who created the monsters of chaos. The main character then asks what it is, and the guy is about to answer, but at that very moment someone turns to the Duke and screams that the chaos monster is on the territory of the duchy. The young lady wonders if a monster has really appeared nearby, and the guy just takes the gun and says that they should first deal with the evacuation because he will figure it out. The young lady wonders if this is really a gun. The Duke claims that she will understand when she sees everything herself, after which he suggests that they go together because he will protect her. A little while later, they find themselves in the forest, and the Duke claims that it's lucky that it's dinner time, and there aren't many people around. The locals have already been evacuated from the nearby houses. The main character thinks that it's still hard to believe, but a lot of time has indeed passed, Kairos turns to the girl and asks if she is uncomfortable after something, and is a little surprised. But then she replies that if she didn't answer, she would simply be surprised at how well he holds his seat. But before he could only cling to her, and then the guy's answer that it was so long ago, he also suggests heading further because the best time to make it before dark. Levertitia understands that he grew up so alone, so she still doesn't know how to feel about it because it's all too complicated. At this time, someone shouts to the Duke that there is a chaos monster there, and the guy asks where he is. After which, the main character sees this monster and in shock asks what it is. The boy asks if it's scary and claims it's a chaos monster. The young lady claims the name suits him perfectly, but wonders how to deal with it. After all, it seems that normal attacks will do nothing, to which the guy replies that this is true, because this monster is stronger and faster than normal ones, and 10 knights are needed for one. After which, he also turns to Levertitia and asks if she can step away a bit. The girl then asks what he is doing, and does he really want to attack the monsters alone? Well, then the monster looks at them, and the young lady realizes she screamed too loudly. The girl also tells the Duke that they need to break the distance, but he claims that everything is fine. And he offers to argue since she is so afraid, because she will owe him a wish if he puts this monster into eternal sleep. Or, for example, a wedding after which he fires a gun, and the monster immediately flies apart in different directions. And the guy says that for sure, and they are already married. The girl then asks if he didn't say that 10 knights are needed, to which he replies that yes, she needs 10 regular knights. Well, her husband is the Duke of Valtail. The young lady realizes that the aura she felt from Kairos's shot, it's definitely a magical power, and the wizards, she felt the same way, but 10 years ago he couldn't use magic, and even the previous Duke didn't have it. The main character then asks how he was able to use a magical weapon, after which the guy claims that, as he already said, the dark magicians have completely gone crazy, and he was catching them. Therefore, he awakened a small number of their abilities in the process, and although he is not a dark mage, he can use magic weapons. It took a lot of effort. The girl understands that a poppy who awakened abilities and was not born with them is comparable to a person who learned to breathe underwater. Therefore, the main character wonders what he was doing all this time. But at that very moment, the girl hears some screams and sees that the monster is starting to gather back, after which she asks if he is still alive. The young lady wonders how he was able to survive a shot to the head, and the Duke notes that those things do not always fall into eternal sleep from such a thing, because there are several places that cause instant immersion into eternal sleep. They call them the core, and the main character asks where it is, after which the guy claims that it is usually in the head or in the heart. Levertitia asks if it is enough to destroy this core, because if so, then it sounds simple. The guy is then surprised and asks what she means, after which everyone sees him as the girl runs towards the monster. Levertitia understands that after Kairos's explanations, everything became clear, and if this core is not in the head, then only the heart remains. After which, the girl jumps on the monster and cuts it down. The Duke immediately runs up to the young lady and realizes that she ran right into the monster. He also asks if she is okay, after which the main character asks if he was worried about her. Levertitia says that everything is fine, because they attacked all the weak points, and now he should be undead. The Duke then tells the lady once again not to forget that 10 knights are needed, but she replies that ordinary knights are needed, and asks if he has forgotten who was called a dog on the battlefield. The girl also says with a smile on her face that she is hungry and suggests going back. The young man then understands that this is true and that this is what Levertitia was like, but he thought that in 10 years he had become the one who could protect her. Well, for some reason, everything seems unfair. At this time, one of the maids asks another if she doesn't think the Duke has been in a good mood these last few days. After the disappearance of Madame, he hardly left the estate and did not smile at all. and recently he began to not only walk in the garden, well, and smile a little. Another maid asks what changed his mood so much, to which her colleague replies that she doesn't know. But he has a brutal appetite, because eating so much food in one meal is too much. One of the maids at this time thanks the others for their help and asks if they have brought food. She also states that she will deliver the Duke's lunch so they can go. But when the maid leaves, they whisper whether she really doesn't need help. Well, the other one claims that she said so herself, so she suggests her friend to rest. Jessie realizes that they are all interested, after which she brings food into the room and wishes Madame Bon Appetit. The main character thanks her. A little while later, the Duke turns to the lady and asks how much longer she intends to hide, but she just says that who knows, and thinks about what she should eat first, and the guy understands that one might think that she was being starved. The girl then asks if he remembers that she's considered dead already, and only 10 years have passed, so someone might recognize her, and then a whole lot of fuss will start. So now it's better to hide and get used to the new environment. The guy claims that she can do this until the end of her life. After all, he will do everything so that she doesn't have to lift a finger, after which he asks her how she feels about the idea of a quiet life with him. The guy also understands that he doesn't care about anything around him, but as soon as she comes out into the light again, the whole world will expect great feats from her, and she will have to go to war with the dark magicians again. He is afraid that the girl will disappear, and as a child he could only watch her leave, but now she will not have to do anything if he tries. The Duke says that Letty can just rest well, and the main character then, with a smile on her face, replies that she doesn't want to. After all, such a life will suffocate her, and she must save people from sorcerers. The guy understands that this girl still thinks about saving others, after which he sees in one of the newspapers that Aaron Carius has made his move and talks about it. The main character asks who this is, but the Duke claims that it is someone who is not worth mentioning. Levertitia says what a liar he is, because his emotions are written all over his face, after which she snatches the newspaper from his hands and tells the guy to let her see it. She reads in the newspaper that Count Aaron is the best knight of their era, and he has announced his intention to participate in the competition. The main character asks if he is the best knight, and she hears this name for the first time. The Duke claims that he gained some popularity while the lady was away, after which the girl claims that this is not what is written there, and the young lady wonders if this is really the Duke's rival, since he actively hunts dark magicians and looks good. The guy immediately snatches the newspaper from her hands and claims that he said it wasn't worth mentioning. He tears the newspaper to shreds, and the main character says that she hasn't finished reading it yet. The lady then turns to the maid and asks if Kairos has any problems with this Heraeus. The Duke then states that he is talking about the competition, and he does not like the idea of the Count participating in it. The young lady asks what the problem is, after which he claims that it seems like it's something important, since the newspapers made a fuss, and she wonders what's wrong with it. The Duke replies that this is a competition to choose a new commander of the White Knights, and the main character asks why the commander is chosen in this way. After all, this has never happened before, and is usually appointed by the emperor or the previous commander. The Duke replies that this is exactly why there was no point in such competitions before, but even after the disappearance of the young lady, no one took this place. The girl is surprised by this and wonders if he really wants to say that the position of commander of the Imperial Knights has been empty for 10 years. And wouldn't it be better for His Majesty to appoint someone? But the Duke claims that the appointment of a new commander was tantamount to admitting her immersion in eternal sleep. But neither His Majesty nor the knights agreed with this. Now the young lady thinks that everything is clear, and they have been waiting for her return for 10 years. The guy claims that the Scarlet Knights replaced the commander a month later, and it was Egan Kellers Levertitia thinks it's strange that this country is still afloat, but she still wonders why they changed the commander, and she feels like she's missing something. After which the young lady realizes in shock that she had completely forgotten that no one had fallen into the trap. She also wonders what Kairos did with Enzod, who was with her, and did not abandon him because he was there. Well, the Duke then asks if the lady really needs to ask him about another man, and the main character just suggests that he stop changing the subject. The guy claims that she doesn't have to worry because he took care of him, and the main game doesn't care where he is. A little while later, they enter the dungeon, and the main character asks if there really was such a place in the Duke's estate. After that, they approach the cage, where the former commander of the Scarlet Knights lies, and the main character asks if it is really him. The girl also thinks why he is in such a state, and hasn't he woken up yet? The main character then says that she understands why this guy was first thrown into prison, but now he needs help. Kairos claims that he has already called a doctor who examined him, and the injuries were minimal, and the body is almost whole, and he did everything necessary, but no one knows why he is unconscious. The main character asks if this is the effect of the dark magician's trap, but the guy with red hair suggests just leaving him near Duke Everett's estate, to which the girl replies that in no case, because he is an important person for revealing the connections between the dark magicians and the Duke. The guy then asks what she is talking about, to which the young lady replies that 10 years ago, when they attacked their shelter, she accidentally overheard a conversation. Everett's plan Kairos then asks if this guy is part of the plan, but the girl replies that she herself is not sure. After all, he is not a coward who will bow his head only to drive into a trap, and not someone who will throw himself into it of his own accord, so perhaps he is able to help them. The Duke says that this is true, and the Duke's child has disappeared, and he has made little attempt to look for him. And after Egan's promotion, it was as if he was waiting for something, and there is a chance that a split occurred in their family. Well, if the Duke really had made an alliance with the Dark Mages, then this idiot knew in advance that an era of chaos awaited them. As one of the main families of the Empire, he always stayed one step behind when it came to the Dark Mages, and did not even think about solving this problem. But on the contrary, he hoped for the situation to get worse. The main character claims that they can try to use it in the opposite direction to gain an advantage. And the guy claims that if they have serious evidence of a connection with dark magicians, then it doesn't matter what power he has, because stopping this man will be easy. The young lady then says that it means they need proof, and they can get it when he wakes up, but she is not sure that the man will cooperate. The Duke at this time claims that they need more evidence to prevent the Duke from escaping. But it is not that simple. After all, before her story, he did not even suspect him of such connections. And Levertitia claims that judging by how brazenly he behaved, who was sure that they would get caught. The Duke claims that yes, everything including his disappearance was part of his plan. Well, now everything will not go as he expects. The main character then asks what they are trying to achieve, and the Duke asks if she wants to find the reason for their union. Levertitia replies that no, and she is not interested in the past because she wants to know what they will do next. After all, it doesn't matter what influence they get, but what's the point if the Empire is destroyed by the monsters of chaos? The guy claims that magicians can do anything to make their wishes come true. But does the Duke want this? After all, these are two forces with opposing goals, and they had to have something in common in order to unite. The Duke is hungry for power and wants to seize the throne with the help of magicians. The main character asks if His Majesty is okay, to which the guy replies that there is nothing to worry about now because his popularity has even increased. He makes every effort to protect the Empire and quickly responds to the threat of dark magicians. Well, then the lady says that it's true that he had previously given orders to exterminate magicians. The Emperor always told her and the commander that they should prepare for the future, and it seems he himself was wasting time. The Duke replies that yes, and thanks to this, they were able to gain dominance in international relations. He was the first to act boldly when the chaos monsters appeared, and the emperor came up with the idea of creating a national union when the continent was plunged into chaos. Many nobles were against it, but by that time, the states that refused the union had already fallen. Levertitia realizes that their knowledge of dark mages is very limited, and the guy claims that in the end, he was right. And the Duke, who usually ignored his majesty, did not resist, surprised by such a sudden change. The young lady claims that the Duke needed time to change his plans, and did not expect such a quick reaction from the emperor. Everett has a strategic mind, and if some unexpected variable appears, he may make a mistake that will reveal the evidence. Kairos says that then his fall is not far off, because the girl came just in time, and they had the most reliable knight in the world. A little while later, someone already turns to the vice commander. Barton says how noisy it is there, after which he asks what happened. The guy claims that he learned that Count Aaron Haraeus would be participating in the competition, but the vice commander replies that he already knew that. The knight is a little surprised, but asks if he really knew, after which he wonders if the vice commander will go against him. Then the guy claims that everyone who came to him said this, and claims that of course, after all, Aaron Haraeus is a man who rose from the bottom and earned the title of count with his skills alone. They say that he is like a comet and will become the best knight of this era. But this is such a funny statement because the greatest knight of their time can only be the commander of Levertish. The vice captain then tells the guy not to worry because he will never be defeated by some stone. Well, he claims that this is not the most important thing, after which the vice commander asks what he and the guy are claiming, that the Duchy of Voltail will also participate. The knight is then surprised and asks if he really means that the Duke himself will come, to which he replies that no, they will send another family member. The knight only gets angry and understands that he knows what this competition means. Lady Levertitia will be declared to be in eternal sleep, and the fight for the commander's place will begin. Everyone will understand that this competition is intended to destroy her status, and even personal participation would not be enough. But he sends a representative, after which the guy asks when the competition will take place, to which the servant replies that there are 3 days left. The guy then says that it's only 3 days and understands that the captain promised that she would return alive, so isn't she going to keep her word? The main character is training at this time and understands that there is still time left before the competition, but she has not been in the Seltzer family's domain for a long time. At this time, someone approaches Levertitia and says that here she is. The girl then asks if something happened, and the Duke claims that there is something he has not told her about her brother. Levertitia asks, "What is this?" After which the guy says that Rudel went crazy. The main character, in shock, asks what he is talking about, and claims that before she returned from the war, he sent her a letter through the butler, and everything was fine with him there. So the girl screams, "What the hell happened in these 10 years? If the Seltzer family is safe?" The guy replies that it's not just her absence, because it started a long time ago, and the letters from her brother were fake. The main character is shocked and wonders what he is talking about, and if it was all a lie. After that, she asks what happened to her brother, and asks Kairos to tell the truth. The man claims that her uncle was constantly bullying her brother. He wondered if the head of the house could possibly be that incompetent, and his sister spent her entire life up to her neck in dirt to help someone she wasn't even related to by blood. So how poor is she? The boy then apologized to his sister and claimed that it was his fault, but the man only claimed that the boy was a monster who had swallowed up the life of his sister and his parents. Receiving such treatment, at some point he lost his mind. Voltail family tried to help with the treatment, but it will take a long time to recover, so the Duke apologizes for not noticing earlier, but the main character takes his hand and claims that if he doesn't answer, he is not to blame. After all, she is his sister, but she herself did not suspect anything, and rather, she is grateful to the Duke. After which the girl thanks him for looking after her brother instead of her. The guy replies that of course, because this is his family too, so he should have visited the mansion earlier. A little while later, the girl thinks how she could not have guessed that she was being bullied by her brother. She really wants to tell Rudel that it is not his fault, and they can live together again. Well, if even her name drives him crazy, then she doesn't know if she can date him. The girl also understands that it is better to wait until he gets better, and now it is time to leave. But at that very moment the girl bumps into someone, and the guy wonders who she is. The girl understands that it is Patrick, and wonders why the uncle's son is there. Patrick at this time says that he understands, and judging by her appearance, the girl is another debt collector. Levertitia wonders if he inherited an IOU from his uncle, and the guys say that now is the time. It's already obvious that the crazy sister of that guy has fallen into eternal sleep, but he waited for 10 years, and now he'll shake out every coin until this psycho falls into eternal sleep. Well, the main character immediately grabs this guy and claims that he will go with him, after which he tells the tax collector to let him go and asks why he is so strong. But the girl just throws him on the floor, after which the guy asks if she even knows who he is. But the young lady just says that he shut his dirty mouth, and she wonders if he's going to continue talking this nonsense right in front of her. Looking at the tax collector's face, the guy realizes that it's Levertitia, after which he immediately starts crawling away. But the young lady steps on his hand and says that he was so brave a second ago, and then asks what happened. The girl also claims that his father abused the child until he went crazy, and the guy ran to shake off debts when 10 years passed, and she wants to plunge them into eternal sleep 10 times. But his father has already plunged into eternal sleep. However, before their meeting, she needs to confirm something. The girl then wonders if he is somehow connected to her parents, but at that very moment she hears a monster attacking them, is foaming at the mouth with fear, and the young lady thinks that he is near the Seltzer mansion, and she cannot let him go in that direction, so she needs to lure the monster deeper into the forest. A little while later, the lady is already running away from the monster and tells him to catch up if he can. The girl understands that there must be a cliff there, but sees that there is nothing, and asks if even the terrain has changed in 10 years. She also thinks that she went out for a short time, so she only took the dagger, and there is no choice. So she needs to deal with this monster in one blow. The young lady also thinks about hitting her in the head or in the heart, after which she removes the heart and sees if it worked, but sees that the monster is still moving. The girl realizes that she guessed wrong, after which she thinks what to do now, but at that very moment something pierces the monster. The main character is a little surprised, after which the Duke runs up to her and asks if she is okay. Levertitia thinks that thank God it's Kairos. The guy asks if the young lady is wounded. He told her to take a weapon, but when he looks at the monster, he asks where the sword came from. The girl replies that she doesn't know, because he flew in from somewhere. But at that very moment someone asks if the lady is okay. The main character understands that she has seen this face somewhere, and the Duke is only interested in where this guy came from. It turns out to be Aaron Harries, after which he turns to Duke Voltile with a smile on his face, and he says that a chaos monster appeared, so he quickly chased after him. And he also wonders if everything is okay with that person. The main character thinks that his name is somehow familiar, after which she even thinks about him. And she recently read in the newspaper. It seems to her that this guy is quite popular, and he also has a good character. But the Duke immediately shuts the young lady up and claims that he will take care of everything and let the guy get rid of the monster's body. Aaron says that it seems that the Duke knows this man, after which he says something that he doesn't need to know this man. The Count then turns around and says that as he said, he needs to deal with the body, so he will go. At this time the main character realizes that she saw her husband from a new side, and that he has such a terrible character. A little while later, they head further, and the guy asks why the girl came there, because she said that she would go to the Seltzer mansion. and she didn't even take the sword, but suddenly something would have happened. No matter how strong she is, but how will a girl defeat a monster with her bare hands? The young lady then only asks if he is very angry, after which the guy says no and apologizes, and also claims that he is not angry with her because the matter is about Aaron Hires, who happened to be nearby. The main character thinks that this guy looked like a normal, polite person, and wonders what caused them to be so hostile towards each other. After which the two of them start talking, and the girl asks if he really hates him, and her husband wonders if she really thinks he's handsome. At the same moment, the main character is surprised, and the Duke asks why she stutters, and did she really fall in love with him after that. He also says that the girl is not going to leave him and go to him. Levertitia understands that her husband has that strange look again. She pushes him away and asks what he is talking about, but the guy only says that it seems he guessed right since she denies it, and he thought that everyone falls in love with him. But the girl replies that it is not true, after which he asks how she could fall in love with a man she saw for the first time in her life, and she had already married Kairos. The guy calms down after this and claims that others fall in love at first sight. He also goes further and says that it is good, and then they will forget about it. But the young lady thinks, since when does a guy care about someone else's appearance? She also tells the young man not to worry, because if he wants her opinion, then he is the most beautiful. Kairos asks why say such obvious things, but the young lady immediately grabs him and says, what an arrogant bastard this is. After some time, the Count is approached by his subordinates, who immediately report a strange discovery. The Count asks with interest what happened and receives the answer. When they cut the monster's body into pieces, they found a dagger inside. Such a discovery causes bewilderment in everyone. The Count asks if the dagger was actually inside the monster. One of the men confirms the blade did indeed hit the creature's heart. He then adds that the dagger may have belonged to the Count himself, emphasizing its uniqueness. Aaron replies that he has never used a dagger in combat. He prefers a long sword, while the Duke usually uses a gun. In the end, he admits with annoyance that the dagger he found does not belong to him, and the mystery of its origin remains unsolved. The subordinate, having listened to the Count's words, suggests getting rid of the dagger since there is a possibility that it may be infected. However, Novikov stops him, asks him to wait, and remembers that besides the Duke, there was another person connected with this event. After some thought, the man says that he may know who the dagger belongs to. His confidence sounds intriguing, and the Count can only guess who the owner of the mysterious weapon might be. The day of the night's tournament is approaching. The streets are bustling. Someone is shouting out, inviting people to line up. The reason for the bustle is simple. Everyone wants to try their signature shashlik because it is a rare day when you can enjoy such an event. Discussions are raging around the tournament. Bets on the winners are also organized here. One of the knights bets on Count Heraeus, and another notes that most have already chosen him, and it will be difficult to earn much on this because the odds are too obvious. A young man enters the argument, saying that betting on the Count is still better than trusting the captain of the Scarlet Knights. According to rumors, this captain recently escaped from a monster, leaving a defenseless child with a pregnant woman. Fortunately, Count Heraeus was nearby. Someone in the crowd asks how such a person could have been appointed captain. Another passing by agrees that there is some truth in what the interlocutors are saying, and the situation does indeed look depressing. Suddenly, the main character passes by them. She remains in a mask, hoping that no one will recognize her. The girl is sure that the river of events will protect her identity from prying eyes, which is especially important for her now. At this moment, someone from the crowd addresses the lady, noting her good mood. He asks, did she really hear something interesting? The girl, with a slight smile, answers that nothing special and tries to hide her true thoughts. The Duke, overhearing this conversation, asks the girl if she really heard nothing. He suggests that she may have heard gossip about a young man claiming to have seen a man who disappeared 10 years ago. However, the Duke adds that such rumors can hardly be trusted. The young man, hearing doubts, insistently assures that his words are true, and even swears to it. The main character smiles, noticing how interesting this is, although doubts do not leave her. Their conversation is interrupted when they approach a crowd of people. The girl notices that the competition has already begun and switches her attention to what is happening in the arena so as not to attract unnecessary attention. Coming closer, the main character sees the vice captain of the White Knights fighting on the field. His movements are precise, and she immediately understands that he does not hold this position by chance. Watching him, the girl catches herself thinking that a lot of time has passed since their last meeting. A vice captain, named Barton, defeats his opponent with a display of skill. The crowd cheers, and the girl remarks on how much he has grown as a warrior. The announcer announces that Marquis Tail will fight next in the arena. The competition continues, one duel after another. Finally, the main character realizes that her turn is near. She feels slightly nervous, but is internally prepared for the test. At this moment, the Duke turns to her, wanting to encourage her. His words sound calm, but inspire confidence. The Duke tells the girl that she shouldn't worry, because he knows that she can handle it. His encouragement makes her smile, and she takes his words as a sign of trust. The girl prepares to enter the arena, feeling that the time for action has come. As the heroine heads towards the arena, a question comes from the crowd. Is the Duke's family really participating in the tournament? The spectators discuss the girl, many hearing the name Letty for the first time. Someone assumes that the battle will end quickly, judging by her fragile physique. A Voltail enters the arena. Her opponent is one of the tournament's main contenders, Malik Blonde, son of Viscount Blonde. The crowd explodes in discussion, eagerly awaiting the start of the battle. Malik abruptly declares that he has no intention of fighting the small fry. He demands that Sir Barton or Count Herries be brought to him. His voice is full of contempt, and the volume of his statements irritates many. The girl, covering her ears from his screams, thinks mockingly that Malik seems to be trying to lull her to sleep with his screams. She already regrets that she will have to waste her strength on such an opponent, but her determination only grows stronger. Letty asks Malik if he knows the rules of the tournament. She reminds him that in order to face stronger opponents, he must first defeat her. With a slight smirk, she adds that she does not understand how such a dumbass wants to become the commander of the knights. Stung by her words, Malik fumes with anger and shouts that she has insulted him. He declares that he is going to smear her on the ground and demands that they begin the duel immediately. His rage only amuses the girl. One of the hosts turns to Letty, asking if she will keep her mask on during the fight. The girl answers affirmatively, assuring that she sees no need to take it off. The host announces the start of the fight. Malik immediately rushes to attack, shouting threats. His blows are sharp, but the girl deftly dodges. Keeping her cool, she only mockingly notes how clumsy his attempts to achieve his goal are. In response to his latest attack, Letty parries the blow and makes a caustic remark about his pettiness. The crowd gasps in amazement at her flawless execution. Malik has clearly underestimated his opponent. Letty smirks and mockingly asks where her opponent gets all this pride. At this point, some of the spectators begin to doubt that Malik is really up to the level of an opponent like Letty. Moments later, Malik's blade is knocked out of his hands. The crowd roars, wondering, could the girl really have done this by force? Letty stands calmly, as if nothing had happened, demonstrating complete self-control. The Duke, watching the proceedings, merely smirks. The announcer announces the victory of Letty of the Duchy of Voltail, and the audience applauds her. The opponent remains on the ground, shocked by his defeat. Malik, lying in the arena, cannot believe his defeat. He asks in shock how the girl could defeat him so easily. His voice trembles with surprise, and his gaze searches for an answer in those around him. Letty, folding her arms across her chest, calmly asks, "Are you shocked that you were beaten by a small fry?" From that moment on, she begins to defeat each of her opponents, causing genuine admiration among the audience. Over time, the residents of the capital begin to support Letty, admiring her skills. The girl understands that winning is not so difficult. However, she also notices that there is too much noise and attention around. At one point, Letty notices the White Knight's vice commander entering the battle. She watches his actions closely and realizes that he seems impatient. Despite this, he surprises her with his precision and calculation. However, watching him further, the girl notices that the vice commander does not reveal even half of his potential. His battle ends in victory, but leaves a feeling of incompleteness. Soon it is announced that Count Aron Herias will enter the final. The crowd greets the finalist with thunderous applause. At this time, Barton leaves the arena, which attracts Letty's attention. She wonders why he is in such a hurry, and what could be the reason for his strange behavior. A girl's voice comes from the crowd, confused, asking what to do now. She clearly didn't expect Barton to lose. Letty listens to the conversation, trying to figure out who is speaking. The girl notices that it is Jessie, who apparently came to watch Barton's performance. Letty can't help but wonder what Jessie's relationship with the vice commander might be. The main character begins to suspect that Jessie is interested in Barton. However, given that she has been gone for 10 years, Letty decides that it is difficult for her to understand the whole picture. She can only watch events unfold. Finally, Letty enters the arena. Excitement mixes with anticipation. She understands that the time has come for the long-awaited finale. In her thoughts, the girl asks Justin not to worry and promises that she will avenge him. The announcer announces the decisive fight, Count Aron Harries versus Letty of the Duchy of Valtale. The crowd perks up eagerly, awaiting the start of the duel. The atmosphere heats up as the opponents enter the arena. The Count, looking at the girl, asks if she is going to stay in the mask again. Letty, holding back a smile, answers affirmatively. Aron only smiles mysteriously, his gaze becoming more attentive. Letty asks why he's smiling, and the Count replies that two people in his life have communicated with him in that way, and as it turns out, one of them was her. His words sound both confident and friendly. Aron adds that watching her, he senses incredible talent. He promises to give his all to make this fight worthwhile. Letty understands that his words are sincere. The girl, with a slight smile, tells him not to expect too much from her. She feels that this fight will be the most difficult in the tournament. The crowd is preparing for the battle to begin, and the host gives the start. Aron takes off at lightning speed, and the fight begins. Letty is surprised to see that he is incredibly fast and accurate. It is clear to her from the start that this opponent is the most serious of all those she has ever met. The Count comments on the progress of the fight, noting that it was not an easy battle. He admits that Barton was a strong opponent, but he always felt like he was one step ahead of him. However, with Letty, it is different. Aron adds that he has his own strengths, and fighting her only reveals them. Letty, hearing his words, smiles slightly and sarcastically asks if he is really sure about that. At the same moment, she skillfully knocks the weapon out of his hands, showing her superiority. Letty mentally recalls how Kairos waited for her return for 10 long years, and the place of the commander of the Silver Knights was empty. She realizes that failure is not an option. The girl must live up to the expectations placed on her. A moment later, the host announces that the winner of the tournament is Letty from the Duchy of Valtale. The crowd erupts in cheers, asking the lady to remove her mask. Someone claims that she is the best knight in the tournament. Letty feels real recognition for the first time, clutching the sword in her hands. This moment becomes special for her. Previously on the battlefield, she was called a mad dog, but now everything is different. The Duke approaches Letty to congratulate her on her return to the ranks of the knights. He asks how she feels after the triumphant end of the tournament. The girl replies that time flew by. A little later, she is already present at the ceremony of her appointment as commander of the Silver Knights. It seems to her that she is returning to a long-forgotten but important role for her. Letty notices that she hasn't been to the palace for a long time. The aristocrats around her discuss her victory, and are surprised that the girl was able to defeat the count with one blow. Gossip spreads quickly, arousing the curiosity of everyone present. Violetta, the daughter of one of the influential nobles, turns to her father. She says that the new commander of the knights has become the center of attention. However, the man waves it off, calling all these discussions empty noise. Violetta insists that if the new commander of the knights becomes His Majesty's first sword, it will change many things. However, her father calmly replies that it does not matter because he will not be able to fully trust this woman anyway. After a while, Violetta's father turns to the emperor himself. His gaze is serious and his speech is full of respect, but it is obvious that he has hidden intentions that he prefers not to advertise. Letty notices the Duke approaching the throne as well. She realizes that this man, confident and cool, has just argued with one of the influential lords and is now addressing the emperor. The Duke says the empire needs to rethink its alliances with other countries. He argues that it is important for the people to see the emperor's power backed up by real action, or else support will wane. The emperor listens silently, but anger flashes in his eyes. He thinks that the Duke is a shameless schemer who tries to manipulate everyone and everything. After all, the current commander of the Scarlet Knights is the Duke's man, and that's no secret. The emperor muses that he would like to appoint someone trustworthy to the position of commander of the Silver Knights, but he understands that no one will immediately trust a newcomer to this business, and a reputation must be earned. At this point, Letty, as the new commander, approaches the throne and greets the emperor, calling him the only son of the empire. Her voice sounds confident, but with a hint of respect. The emperor watches her with interest, meeting this mysterious girl for the first time. However, something in her voice seems familiar to him. This strange feeling makes him wary. The emperor asks Letty to raise her head. She does so, but her face remains masked, hiding her features. The man looks at her carefully, trying to understand who she really is.